As I see you making the rounds, it just seems like a guy who might want to run for something. And then I saw you come in the building today.
Yeah.
And those were the introductions of somebody that wants to run. I don't know what you're running for.
You think so?
That's what it seemed. If you want to say you're definitely not running for anything, you're welcome to.
I'm definitely not running for anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those were the introductions of a politician.
If I get your endorsement, I may
I
have
don't
to
know
do it. Yeah.
that's
because
gonna
I
happen.
can tell from the moment I walked in, there was one skeptical person in the room.
Yeah. Can you spot
Over
him?
there.
Because you have to shake a lot of
I
hands,
spot him right away, everywhere.
What do you look for? What is the mark of somebody
It's
that
like
you're
this. It's just like this. Yeah.
like, just keeping an eye on
exactly like.
We good?
Yeah, man, you're the boss.
All right. You good?
I'm ready. I feel like I'm like there's a panel here.
I don't love the seating of you while all of us are over here. It's like you're being deposed.
Yeah.
But this is the most people we could fit in the room.
We never had this many people in here, so we had to.
I know that makes me nervous too. Fucking Arian following me around in the hotel. I did in and out of the elevator. I felt like it was like the spy at the end.
Well, let's start out. Let's start out with that because we did get a text from Arian yesterday, and it was a picture of you and him in the elevator together.
Yeah.
So how'd you guys cross paths?
So I was going to the Brewer game with Big T,
Mm-hmm.
and so I leave. It's in the morning sometime, right? It was like 10, something like that. And I seen him, clearly didn't recognize him. And I was talking with somebody on the elevator about. I think we was talking about like a serial killer documentary. And I was like, yeah,
something.
I was like, I couldn't. It was wild. It was wild.
Uh-huh.
Not serious. Serial.
She's listening.
And I was like, yeah, I could never do that. Like, I don't got the, And then she was like, well, what if? And I think we were talking about like penetrating skin with a knife. It was a weird documentary, and I was like, yeah, I could never do that shit. It's the blood. And she's like, what if there was no blood? If they were cold? I was like, nah, I couldn't do that. Still, it was just spitballing, just talking shit. And then he walks in. I was like, that's a wild conversation to walk in on. And then I don't remember exactly what we said. But then you were like,
I said I do wild.
Yeah, something like that. And I remember getting off the elevator. I was like, yeah, that dude said it, and I kind of believed him. And then we leave the Brewer game, come back, hop on the elevator, and he's in there again. I was like, that's fucking crazy. Same dude. And so I was like, what's your name, man? That's wild. And he's like, Hunter. I was like, and then it just dawned on me. I was like, oh shit, I'm interviewing you tomorrow. And he's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
So me and him go way back, man. Yeah.
And he was saying earlier that you and him go even further back, that you helped him win a couple fantasy leagues back in the day.
Oh, word.
So Maisie, who you just met,
Yeah.
when Maisie's an amazing athlete. She I think is the only person in her high school ever to get. She got what was it? Would be 16, 15, or excuse me, 11 varsity letters in 4 years. So she got just missed one sport because the coach was a jerk. Anyway, she's an amazing athlete. When she was young and like really young, she played in all boys leagues for flag football, and she was like the breakout star. And so the dads had a fantasy football little league, and Maisie and I were part of it. And we'd roll up like 5 minutes before you're supposed to pick stuff. But you won us the league in I think like 2000, between like 2010, 11, 12, something like that.
That was my heyday. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was
So
my heyday.
I was following you every Sunday all the time.
There we go.
Yeah, some money.
Beyond that, it's just I've been listening to your show and coming on here, and I was listening to the training stuff that you do with your kids.
Okay, yeah.
It's really cool.
Oh, appreciate it, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's dope. Small world.
So today, first of all, thank you for coming in,
Yeah.
Hunter. So the voice that you're hearing is Hunter Biden, former first son. Are you just always first son? Is it
no, you're
because if you're president, then you're always president, right?
In America of 250 years, yes, that's the way it works. You're former.
Yeah.
Now, going forward, I don't know how that's going to work.
Right.
Yeah, right now.
Okay.
The whole system's set up for formers.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's true. Former first son, lawyer, artist.
Former lawyer.
Former lawyer.
Yeah.
Current artist.
Disbarred in 2 states. What?
Current artist.
Yeah, I am a current artist. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
How'd you get
very much
disbarred?
What?
You got disbarred?
Yeah.
How'd you get disbarred?
Well, because the like right-wing groups petitioned the state bar. I was D.C. and Connecticut, and petitioned the bar based upon the convictions that the gun conviction.
Got you.
Yeah.
And also with us, we got Dante and Jerry. Had to bring these two in.
Well, I know these two.
I know you're a fan of Dante's, and you and Jersey Jerry.
Yeah.
You were presenting him with Lib of the Year on Friday.
Right.
Of
Thank
last
you,
week.
boys. Thank you,
Congratulations,
appreciate
Jerry.
that. Thank you,
So I had to get Jerry on here too.
Love that.
Yeah.
Happy to be here. Excited to be here.
Yeah.
So you've been making the rounds.
Yeah.
So I guess the first question I would have for you is why?
It's all in prepreparation for here.
You've been
exactly.
You've also been like
all
on,
of it
been on Twitter a lot. You've been
come-
firing back at people.
Yeah.
Like this is almost like a media tour that you're doing. So the question is like, what was the reason, the impetus for you to log on and be like, I'm going to start getting my name out there and getting my message out there?
Well, the serious answer is that what I realized. Well, number one is that for the 4-year period of time that my dad was president, I didn't do anything publicly. But there was an enormous amount of attention paid to me. Regardless of the fact that I literally didn't do any business when my dad was president. I didn't do anything except paint and try to sell some of my paintings through a gallery. And what I realized though is that they had, whether it was completely unwarranted or unwanted attention paid to me for a 7-year period of time as I was, working my recovery, is that I was left with this platform. And to me, everything that I do now is focused on trying to help people that are still sick and suffering out there and trying to make it through the day. And whether it's somebody that is an addict or whether it is their family. Because, I know it sounds trite and kind of like cliche, but it is a family disease. And 50 million people suffer from addiction on a daily basis in the United States. Which means that every single person knows someone in their life, whether it is at least 1 degree of separation, somebody that they care about one way or another, that impacts their life, that is suffering from addiction. And so for me, like what an opportunity to like enter into the conversation. I didn't have any expectations of how much I would be able to do or how many people that I would be able to reach, but I've been really pleased with the fact. And so I always say like my thoughts about politics, are the bait to get people to talk about things that I actually am an expert in. And one thing I am an expert, Jerry and I can agree on this, is addiction.
May I present a hypothesis, because I had the same question as you, PFT. Hunter, I wore today my team issue U.S. House of Representatives quarter zip because as I see you making the rounds, it just seems like a guy who might want to run for something. And then I saw you come in the building today.
Yeah.
And those were the introductions of somebody that wants to run. I don't know what you're running for.
You think so?
That's what it seemed. If you want to say you're definitely not running for anything, you're welcome.
I'm definitely not running for anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those were the introductions of a politician.
If I get your endorsement, I may.
I
have
don't
to
know.
do it. Yeah.
That's
because
gonna
I
happen.
can tell from the moment I walked in, there was one skeptical person in the room.
Yeah. Can you spot
Over
him?
there?
Because you have to shake a lot of
I
hands,
spot him right away, everywhere.
What do you look for? What is the mark of somebody
It's
that
like
you're
this. It's just like this. Yeah.
just keeping an eye on you?
Exactly. Like,
Well, there were a lot of people didn't know you were coming in.
Yeah.
Those people looked.
Yeah.
They were a little shell shocked.
yeah.
Mhm.
Well, by the way, I have that effect on people.
Mm.
I definitely do. So because if you've been watching me on video for the past 7 years, it's a completely different completely different image than what you got from the New York Post.
Big T is right, though.
Yeah.
You're very good at shaking hands. It does feel like a
No, you know
politician's
what?
entrance, but it's
You know
probably
what?
from being
That
around it.
doesn't even come from my dad. That comes from this. Is that the one single thing that people care about? It's like when I tell my kids is that when you sit down at whatever restaurant you're in, and the server comes up to your table, you say, number one, you always say please and thank you. But number two, you say, what's your name? The difference between being acknowledged by anyone, whether it's Arian or whether it's you or anybody, but particularly if you're somebody that's recognizable. If they stop to take the time to say, hey, what's your name? Where are you from? I mean, it makes all the difference in the world. Just think about it from your own experience in life. Is when people pay you not just perfunctory attention, but like real interest. And that's, for me, the coolest thing about what I went through is that there is there's no facade. Like, I can't pretend to be somebody I'm not. I'm a guy that was, where there's like, I don't know how many different images of me smoking crack in a motel bathroom with prostitutes, and so I can't disassociate myself from that in any way. And so, for me though, what it does is it takes down the barrier between me and normal people. So usually when somebody sees somebody that they, whether it's because of their infamy or they're famous or whether they respect them or whether they loathe them or been told to loathe them, is that there's like a barrier between them and a normal person on the street. With me, there's no barrier. Everybody's seen all my junk. Everybody's seen, all of my everything. And anyway, it's become a really beautiful thing because I can actually end up having real conversations with people about what they're going through. So they'll come up to me and say, hey, sorry, Dante, you
Has that always been a characteristic of yours, or is that something that took work to get to that point for you?
The lesson of seeing everybody in the room is something that comes from my dad. And regardless of what you think about my dad's politics, is that I think the one thing that distinguishes him from anybody that's had that office before, anybody in modern times that I've known or met, from Jimmy Carter on. Well, and like Barack Obama is an amazing person and hero of mine. But the differentiator with my dad is that he is that guy. I mean, he truly wants to know you. And he would drive President Obama crazy because they would be on the same stage, they'd make speeches, and then my dad would hold everybody up because he'd be taking pictures and selfies, and somebody would say, oh, it's my dad's birthday. And he said, well, let's call him. And he would do that with everybody, but it's not an act. It's real. Like, he derives energy and sustenance from people. And he had one of the things that I realized through the experiences that my dad and I have both been through is, when you lose, two children in 46 years or 40 years apart, and it's very public because of you're a public person, he's had a similar experience with grief that I'm having with people with addiction, is that people come and say to him, like, what do I do? I lost my child. They go to people so that they can connect because of the single thing that I think is the most the difficult for anybody that's going through some trauma, whether it's their own addiction or whether they've lost somebody or whether it's a physical violence or whatever it may be, is they feel alone. They feel like they're the only person experiencing it. They feel like there's no answer for them, that no one can possibly understand what they're going through. And the truth is the greatest connector of all connectors in human history is pain. We've all gone through pain. And it's when you find somebody that you can share your story with that, it's transformative. It's like, I know it is for me. I know it is for me.
Is there any, this may be too deep and personal, but my mother lost two of her siblings when she was growing up. So her mom and dad lost two children as well. And so she always had this very interesting outlook on parenthood. So when we was growing up, you would see guys, I was growing up with, and their parents wouldn't let them go out and hang out and drink. But she understood that's going to happen. And she was like, listen, y'all can have your fun, be responsible. But if you're ever in a jam, because she lost them to drunk driving. And so she was like, if you're ever in a jam, when we was growing up, going to parties or whatever, she's like, you call me, I don't care what.
Yeah.
She's like, you're not in trouble, just call me.
Yeah.
And so is there any like the way that she has dealt with grief in her life has been like one of the reasons I put her up on this pedestal. So like, has there any been like conversations about how you and your family has dealt with grief? Because I think you're right, like political affiliations aside, I think grief is what we all deal with, because death is as certain as anything. So like that conversation of grief and dealing with that, what kind of conversations do you and your
my
father
whole
have?
life, and it's the thing. I know people like think that I'm exaggerating, but I talk to my dad almost every day. And the reason I talk to my dad is not because like he is like so like has OCD and he needs to like call me, is that because he's lost 2 kids. I mean, from the time, what he would always say to me is, and people that worked for him or with him, and was that if anybody in my family ever calls, no matter what the meeting, you let me know. Because he's gotten that call before. He's gotten that call where instead of it's just, say hi or, something important, he's gotten the call and said, your wife and daughter were just killed in an accident and your 2 boys are, critically injured in the hospital. And so that, like I always say, Jerry, and I don't know if you feel the same way about this, is that, sure, I did some really shitty things in my addiction. The hardcore part of it being the 2 years when I literally was just trying to kill myself, mainly with alcohol, using crack. Okay, but the thing that I always say is the greatest sin that I committed in my addiction was withdrawing my presence from the people that loved me and needed me.
Oh, for sure.
Like after my brother died is when I went through this basically 2.5, 3 year hell. And I anything could have been my excuse. It's a great one, but it wasn't my brother's fault. You know what I mean? My fault. But the thing that I did was so, to me, the shame that I live with, that I did to my daughters who loved their Uncle Bo, who desperately loved their Uncle Bo. He was as much a part of their lives as I was. Like we were inseparable and together. I mean, they adored him beyond. And instead of being there for them, I crumbled into my own weakness and addiction. Well, weakness, forget about whether it's weak or not weak, is that I became completely unavailable to them at a time where they desperately needed me. And that's the greatest sin. And that's one of the things, Arian, that you're asking, what did I learn from my dad's grief and his experience in life, is that always be available to the people that you love. And by the way, and that expands the whole kind of connection and network of everything, because not just your family, but the people that have come to rely on you. And which goes to the original, why am I doing this? Because I get to talk about shit like this on shows like this, where people wouldn't necessarily ever talk about this. Not because it's not important, not because it's because it's uncomfortable sometimes. And what you realize when you start talking about it is that, like, I am not alone. Like, you've gone through it. I know you've gone through it. I know you've gone through it. I mean, I talk to your brother all the time about your dad. Like, anyway.
Yeah. I get it. It's a good point. It does bring us, like, it's something that everybody here is going to go through at some point, and how you handle it. There's no right way to handle it. There's no wrong way to handle it. But
well, I don't know. There's kind of a wrong way to handle it.
You can learn even if you handle it the wrong way.
Yeah.
I do think you're spot on, though, for sure, about the availability thing, because, like, for years, I just thought it was, like, I wasn't hurting anybody besides myself, right? And it was just like, oh, I'm running the streets, constantly in and out of rehab, getting arrested, and it's like, oh, it doesn't matter. Nobody's suffering. And then finally, I went to Arizona, where I had a counselor explain to me, like, hey, you're not just killing you. There's your mother and your sister at home who are losing sleep, who are getting calls like, hey, your son is on a corner next to a dumpster. Like, they're dying with you. You know what I mean? So, like, now I understand it. Like, okay, I need to be available to those people. And not only those people, but, like, an example, I'll get hundreds of DMs on a weekly basis, right? And it'll just be like fans and whatnot. The ones I make sure I answer the most are people who are like, hey, Jerry, I need a friend. I need somebody to talk to. I'm going through addiction. Like, it's important to show up for those people, and I'm grateful that I'm able to do that now. But, like, in recovery, you know, in the beginning, I didn't really think about that. But now as I've grown as a person, it's like, oh, I have to show up because that's how this works, right?
Yeah.
If I don't show up for this person, I'm doing a disservice.
Yeah.
You know, I promise people, like,
don't you think it's almost the most selfish act you can do in recovery is being there for somebody else, because after you do it, you realize like you just got way more out of being of service to somebody than they ever got from the service from you. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but it is.
It's even like, okay, do you go to meetings or have been to meetings?
I have not been to a meeting physically in a long time, just because it's hard for me to go. But the program saved my life.
Exactly. Like, okay, when I go to a meeting, right?
Yeah.
I'll get more out of a person who is like, hey, my name is Rob.
Yeah.
I got 3 days sober. I'm struggling right now.
Yeah.
Than a person sharing their experience, strength, and hope. And they're like, hey, my name is Greg. I'm celebrating 25 years of sobriety.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, because I resonate with that feeling of that guy in that chair talking for the first time, raising his hand.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I'm 3 days sober. Like, oh my God.
How many times have you in this have had this experience, like in early recovery, where you go in and you're thinking like, fuck, should I share this fucking crazy ass thing that happened and I'm ashamed of? But like, you know, my sponsor's telling me that I got to get it off my back in front of the group. And you go in and you're sitting there and you're like scared to death to like let out this secret. And then some guy shares and you're like, what the fuck? What? Like, what I did is nothing. Nothing compared to that.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, that's the realization. And it's not just limited to people that are, you know, just hardcore or whatever that means, addicts. It's kind of, if you extrapolate that into life in general, it's like always putting yourself in somebody else's shoes. There's always having the ability, like, you know, from the most kind of like cliche, like, you know, like my grandmother always would say, like, when somebody would, like, you know, cut you off or something like that, it's like, you know, they may be going to the hospital, honey. You know what I mean? Like, they may, like, you never know somebody else's day. Yeah. And you never know somebody else's story. But I tell you what, I'm here to tell you, at least in my experience, is we share a lot more in common than we're being told that divides us. That's for sure. Exactly. Yeah. You know, and like when you go into those rooms, it doesn't matter if you have a MAGA hat on. It doesn't matter if you are a transsexual and a man. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're gay. It doesn't matter if you're straight. It doesn't matter if you're a registered Republican or whatever. You go in that room and everybody's the same. And what you realize, if you can, at least I realized about this, is like, yeah, and we all really care about the same shit. We care about our families. We care about being able to provide for them. We care about being able to create, have security. It's, how we get there, is where the road gets bumpy. Yeah. But anyway.
I think like the stories are different from everybody. Yeah. But like the thing I think that brings recovering addicts together is they all share the same feeling, the desperation, helpless, hopeless. Like they all at one point or another felt that. So I think that's what the big thing is. Like the stories may be different. Like your story is going to be different than my story, but we felt the same exact thing. So I think that's a cool part to it.
Yeah, it's got to be a much different recovery scenario than what most people go through, given how public a lot of your stuff was. And how people have seen a lot of it, right? So how has that affected it?
So, I mean, here's the thing. At first, it was hell. I mean, just imagine. Like, forget about what you know about my laptop or not, or where it was, or how it got in the hands of the people, and blah, 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 blah. Just know this, is that 22 years of my digital footprint, everything that was deleted, everything that had, my cloud over 22 years was dropped in the hands of literally my worst enemies, who then disseminated it for a 5-year period of time on the largest platforms available to human history. And so no matter what you think about whether or not I should have been in that room smoking crack and having sex with that woman, is the fact of the matter is it's still revenge porn. It's still it's still a hack. It's still against the law. If it happened to you, like I say to everybody, oh really? You got a problem? What did my laptop prove? My laptop literally proved nothing other than I was an addict. There's not a single piece of evidence from the laptop that was ever, in 7 years of investigators from the Department of Justice, from the U.S. Attorney's Office, from things, and like there's not a single thing that I was ever indicted for or that came from the laptop. What came from the laptop was an enormous amount of personal embarrassment of a 3-year period of time in my life. And no matter what you say, as I say to people, like, okay, you think that's okay? Even if it was me, if you hate me, think that's okay? Give me your phone. Show me your iCloud.
Yeah.
No, you know what? let me see your dick pics. Yeah. Let me see the ones that you erased. Let me see the ones that were sent to you. Let me see the email
Bad
that was
dick
taken.
pics would be tough. The ones that
You don't want to see my dick pic.
bad angles.
No,
So
but no,
this-
for real. Let me see the email taken out of context from 10 years ago,
Nerves,
or
I
the
get it.
text message to your mom in which you were in an argument and you said something mean to her. She said something mean to you. Let me see your iCloud.
So this is what I was interested in
Yeah.
earlier when I asked is how did you get to this point where you went from being hidden away and shuttered for 4 years where, I mean, it was strategy. It was obvious to now you're very outspoken and you're not shying away from, your deepest, darkest secrets being known to the whole world. You're almost like comfortable with them and embracing them.
Yeah.
And seeing, haters go after you on Twitter, call you out for these things, and you don't run away from them at all. You don't deny anything. You almost like disarm them by accepting it and speaking out publicly about it.
Yeah.
What was the switch that flipped, or how much work went into getting there? I asked because I'm amazed by it.
I appreciate that, Dante, and I really mean it. Look, here's the other thing. I appreciate you guys even willing to talk to me after what you have been told for 7 years. Okay, and I really mean that because as much as I think it was unfair, or whatever I think about it, is that the truth of the matter is it was the narrative had been cemented. I mean, I was on the cover of the New York Post more times than anyone on the cover of the New York Post in a year period of time. They wrote 1.5 stories about me a day for 4 years straight. Okay, and so, and not a single one of them was good. Okay, and so I was the third most spoken about person on Fox News for 4 years. Donald Trump, Joe Biden, and then Hunter Biden, and then literally everybody else. For 4 years, they did 16 hours of documentary films on Fox Digital. 16 hours about me. Again, none of it good. When you say it was a strategy, I have to look, man. I mean, it's like I have a just because there's been so many incoming. An old friend of mine with a PR firm that is like, will call and do the scheduling. That's literally it. It's me, Maisie, who's out there. My daughter's out there, and there was no strategy. It was survival. So, 2019, I meet Melissa. I get sober, and then the world crashes down on you. And that's like the common experience with a lot of addicts. Do you know what I mean? The consequences of your addiction don't resolve just because you put down the drink or the drug, And so it is, and that's why it's so hard. That's why aftercare is such an important thing, which I want to talk to you guys about. I work with this group called Peak Path Health. I'm trying to start an aftercare foundation, and for free for people that I think it's a huge missing link.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. So you go back and all of a sudden the world came down around my head. Okay. I mean, all of it. And it never stopped, and it still hasn't. I mean, and so I kept my mouth shut in part because that's what you do when you're being investigated by the Department of Justice and the FBI and whoever the hell else was investigating me. and you that's what normal people do. Yeah, and also I was in early recovery. Like I went, I mean, this whole thing with painting, like I painted my whole life, but what I did in that moment is that I couldn't go out. I mean, literally, you know what I mean? At that time, there was no Secret Service. I have no security. I have no money. We lived in, a $7,000 a month rental in the Hollywood Hills, and that was like this big. And Melissa and I would like leave, and we would be followed all day long because Donald Trump started the Where's Hunter thing, and everybody that was, hardcore MAGA decided that the cool thing to do would be to like park outside of our house, 24/7 and follow us everywhere. And it was frightening. So I stayed but I'm telling this whole story like this because to answer your question, it's the greatest gift they ever gave me. The total exposure was the greatest gift that anyone could have ever done for me. The total, complete obliteration of my ego was the greatest thing that can ever happen to you in recovery, because I have no secrets. And the secrets were the things that were killing me, because I thought my dad's vice president, or my dad's a senator, or my brother's the attorney general, or I am, I'm important, and I'm the chairman of the board of the World Food Program, of the UN World Food Program. It's the largest humanitarian organization in the world. Or I'm the vice chairman of Amtrak, the largest passenger rail system in the world. Or I'm the chairman of the board of the Truman National Security Park. Or I, Hunter Biden, am a professor at the School of Foreign Service in the master's program at Georgetown University. And like all of those things. And I have this business, and I can't be found out that I relapsed again. I can't be found out that I screwed up and got kicked out of the Navy. Like I joined the Navy and got an age waiver only to completely, I can't. And so all of those secrets are just become the shame that is literally the kryptonite for any addict. If you live in that shame, if you don't get it out, I promise you, you're going to end up relapsing. And for me, it took me a while to get there, to feel this and not feel crippled by it. But there's nothing there are no secrets left in my life. And so I was able to start to work through the shame and talk to people honestly about it.
It's like freeing in a sense almost, yeah.
Totally, completely liberating. Now, I want to save some of it because I still want to sue some motherfuckers for defamation.
Hell yeah.
So it was really hard. It was
just
really hard. Exactly.
You just want a settlement,
I don't
right?
What?
You just want a settlement for a couple mil?
Yeah.
Who's that? Was that the CEO of, what was that company?
Overstock.com.
Yeah. What happened with that?
He's supposedly a billionaire, and he's okay. So this is one that was just like a step too far. I mean, after all the shit that people had said about me, is that he went on this publication, and he wrote this or did this interview in which he said that I was in Tehran and Pakistan, and I arranged for the release of the $8 billion in sanctioned Iranian money from the that was being held in South Korean banks for a 10% cut that I shared with my father. And then that money was used by Hamas for the attacks on October 7th. And he said that he had tapes.
It's a wild claim.
It's a really good story.
By the way, here's the thing. Remember who Patrick Byrne is, okay? Patrick Byrne is a billionaire CEO. It's a billionaire CEO, okay? Close to it. He is he's the guy that brought Sidney Powell and Mike Flynn into the White House.
The Kraken.
Yeah, exactly. The Kraken, all that stuff. And they're all a part of this team. So he was a part of the same team that Steve Bannon was. I don't know if do you guys ever listen to that tape of Steve Bannon talking the night before the election?
I haven't heard that, no.
I've read. Go listen to it. It's worth to listen. It only takes like 10 minutes. He's talking to this guy, Miles Gao, who just got 69 years in prison for fraud. Billionaire, expat from China. Which he says, and by the way, if you ever want to know what's happening or what's going to happen, literally just listen to Steve Bannon, because he will tell you exactly without any varnish. Like he says, like Donald Trump is running for a third term. Steve Bannon flat out says it. And just like Steve Bannon said, what we're going to do is we're going to contest the election. We're going to say that it was stolen. And one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to say the reason that it was unfair is because of this laptop. And the laptop is going to become and he literally lays it out. You can hear him on tape from the leaked audio of it exactly explaining the whole operation. Patrick Byrne was a part of all of that. He said this crap. And I was like, I went to one of my lawyers and I said, can we please, like, it's one thing to say X, Y, and Z about me, but to say that I was somehow responsible for the greatest and the most awful, heinous attack on the Jewish people since the Holocaust it goes a step, maybe 1,000 steps too far, and so I sued him, and it took 2 years, and he. A lot of big words from him, and he always says that he's going to come up with the tapes, and he says he has the tapes, and he says all of this stuff, and he literally he himself didn't show up to trial, and the day before the trial, the day of his trial, he fired his attorney from remotely, and then he didn't bring in another attorney, and then he tried to bring in another attorney, but the other attorney is disbarred somewhere. I don't know if they were disbarred or something. Anyway, it's just all fun and games. I don't know if I'll ever get any money out of them. I sure hope I do. Anybody know any collectors? Jerry? Jerry?
Yeah.
Guys from back in the day.
I know guys.
That's what I need. Yeah, exactly. You got a guy. I knew you got a guy. Maybe Dante too. Yeah.
I've got one question about the laptop, irrespective of its contents.
Yes.
And if you've answered it, I apologize. I haven't seen you answer this.
Yeah.
You dropped it off at the place, right? The laptop repair place. You didn't.
Okay. Here, just get this straight, all right? Is that number one, that's a giant red herring of anything, all right? But number two is this. The laptop repair shop owner is legally blind.
Right.
Go watch the tape of him the day that it breaks that the laptop is there. He says 100% he has no idea if it was me. And also, he had security cams, of which, unfortunately, that single day of all the days was erased. Now, maybe it was a week that was erased, maybe 2 weeks erased. I have no recollection of ever dropping off the laptop.
So you think it was a setup?
And what?
You think it was a setup?
I don't know. I literally don't know. I don't know if he was set up. I don't know whether he was used as a means to do this. But I do know this. Again, this is all fact. Go to my Substack, okay? Go literally read. I'm writing about it now. Is that Lev Parnas will tell you flat out that before John Paul McIsaac was a twinkle in Rudy Giuliani's eyes, okay? Months before, they were in Ukraine seeking a hard drive of Hunter Biden's. They were going to a guy named Dmitry Firtash, and they were going to pick up the Hunter Biden laptop hard drive in Austria, where he is awaiting extradition to the United States. This guy Firtash, a Ukrainian-Russian billionaire, who was offering them the laptop. Go read the Time magazine article of which they were saying that in Ukraine there was a Hunter Biden laptop being offered for sale, and on the black web for months and months before that. They found a way to get this into the bloodstream. That supposedly happened in 2018 or 19 or whenever it was, the John Paul McIsaac thing. They held it all the way for a year and a half. And so you're telling me that John Paul McIsaac, just a simple laptop repair shop guy, who literally, that repair shop is not even 3 miles from my parents' house. There is 1 degree of separation between me and everybody in Trolley Square in that area. He knows them all. He knows everybody that knows me. The one person he finds to return my laptop, which isn't a laptop, by the way, because the laptop never worked. It's a hard drive that he's done with a curated experience of a laptop of a limited amount of gigabytes. Okay,
This is great.
He hands that over to, of all people he finds in the world to hand it over to, Bob Costello, Rudy Giuliani's attorney. And Rudy Giuliani, of all people to hand it over to. Now, remember, Rudy Giuliani has been looking for my laptop out there in the world for months before. And how do we know that? Because Lev Parnas testified under oath before Congress and in a written statement to say that he was looking for the laptop.
I don't think Rudy covered his tracks that well at the
Oh
time
my
either.
God,
He was like
he's
taking
such a
pictures
moron.
overseas.
Yeah, and so what? By the way,
Yeah.
what does Rudy do? Okay, they hold it. They curate the experience of the hard drive that they've been getting, and they take in a whole host of other digital material. By the way, like look at some of those pictures. They weren't taken by me. Like I'm sleeping. I didn't take a selfie when I was sleeping. You know, I mean, there are. And by the way, I'm not denying a lot of the pictures. But what did Rudy do when he got, when he broke the October surprise? Now they've had it for a year. Okay, the big surprise was going to be that I was a crack addict because that's what it showed. But what had I done?
Jerry, man.
I had gone
Respected.
right in the early when I was recovering. It met somebody named Adam Entos, who was a writer for the New Yorker. And he ostensibly started to interview me about Ukraine. And you know what? I, for some reason, trusted the guy, and I just opened up to him, and I told him everything. The first call that Adam Entos got after that article came out, in which I admitted to my crack addiction in early 2019, before my dad was even remotely going to win the nomination, is the first call Adam got, I believe, was from Steve Bannon, who said, you motherfucker, you scooped us. They had already had the laptop. They had already had those pictures. And then Rudy got them, and he went with Bernie Carrick, and he stood on the steps of the Newcastle County Police Department in Wilmington, Delaware, at the courthouse. And he held a laptop, which, by the way, there is no laptop. He had a hard drive. He had a thumb drive that he put on a hard drive. He holds a laptop up, and he said, "This laptop has evidence of images of underage and inappropriate contact of Hunter Biden with underage women, girls," which is a complete and utter fucking lie. And how do I know it's how can I prove it is? You can go. It's all there. Everybody. You can still access my laptop. The entire digital footprint of my laptop is completely disseminated on the internet. Everything, every image, everything. But he went and he did exactly, literally what Putin did to all of his people, all of the people. Because what's the one
Theater.
Yeah, what's the one thing that you can say that if you say about somebody, even if you get 3% of the people to believe it, that makes it so much easier to say I could see him. You know, he may not be a pedophile, but he's but I could see him, you know, in bribery. Like if you plant that into somebody's mind,
It's this famous saying, right?
Yeah.
Lie gets halfway around the world before truth gets its pants on.
yeah, and that's what Rudy did. And so that is what. And remember the whole debate about you know, it being taken down from the social media sites and that's the thing that turned the election. And if they allowed just a story, you know what they took down from X and they took down from Instagram or Facebook at the time? They took down nude pictures of me having sex because it goes against the rules, the stated rules of both those platforms. That's it. Because under their rules, it was revenge porn.
That's it. So that's the content in which they say that the government was pressuring the social media companies to.
Okay, here's the greatest thing, Arian.
Okay.
Okay. Whose government? Remember when it was taken down?
It was Trump's government at the time.
So you're telling me you think that Donald Trump's government pressured X to take down pictures of me that they put up?
Well,
They're the ones
he
who
was,
put it up.
well, in his defense, he was deplatformed at the time. He wasn't a huge.
I think deplatformed
Twitter
in
wasn't a huge
2021,
fan.
Yeah,
right?
but by the way, I don't disagree with that. Okay, he got platformed in 2021. I don't disagree with that. What I'm saying to you, this is in 2020, right before the election, for a 2-week period. They take down the New York Post story because it contains images of me nude with unidentified women. That's why they take it down. Okay. And the question Arian had was, well, what, you know, that's the government pressure. And all I'm saying is that no, Trump's government did not pressure X to take down those pictures. It wasn't. It was literally the internal policy of X, of Facebook, of every social media platform at that time. It's like, for instance, if you or Arian, if you New York Post or anybody put up nude pictures of you with anybody, they would immediately get taken down. Even in today's atmosphere, you'd be able to call up and be able to say to Elon, like, this is revenge porn. By the way, Melania Trump got a law passed in Congress just like 7 months ago, which makes revenge porn, which there's a lot of state laws disparate state laws, it makes it a federal crime. You're not allowed without the consent of somebody else to be able to, publish a picture on any platform for any reason of them naked or, without their consent.
Was there anything on the laptop that you were proud of that you were upset didn't get enough attention? It's like, hey, I got my novel on here, and nobody bothered to talk about like the good stuff that I had written on there.
Well, some of those videos were pretty good.
Why aren't you talking about all the good stuff? That was
I'm
on
just
the laptop?
saying. Yeah. I mean, I haven't necessarily gone back to look, but I understand that. But no. So here's what I'm proud of that. Okay. I'm proud that there is not a single email that you will be able to find. There's an email to me, like, hey, 10% for the big guy, all that bullshit. You know when that happened? My dad was neither president or vice president. I went to go into business with a couple guys that I did not get into business to, and one of them sent me a email that said, what about 10% for the big guy? And I didn't do business with those guys, but not because of that. They were trying to get my dad involved in a business deal that I was in, a totally legitimate business deal. What the fuck is wrong with that? I ask everybody, you got a problem with that? My dad's no longer vice president, president. You got a problem with that? He's not in elected office. I'm a Yale-educated lawyer going into business, doing something that I would have been proud of. It had to do with natural gas. It had to do with the production here in the United States.
That's the thing. I guess it would depend on what the business deal was.
To make money.
I could see it being a problem if it was with a company that was against you.
I actually do have a
okay, but my point is this. Let me finish the point real quick. Here's the point, is that I said no to the whole deal. But that is literally the only thing in 22 years that you will ever find. They had every email, every text message, every deleted text message, every voicemail, every deleted voicemail, literally everything for 20 years. Not a single instance in which you will find me emailing someone or someone emailing me saying, hey, I need my dad to get to do this on behalf of this person that I'm getting paid for. Not one. And I think that's dispositive evidence. So what am I proud of? I'm proud of that. I'm proud of 20 years of that.
I agree with you, and I give you credit for that. I also I applaud you for this. You've been highly critical of the Trump kids, and them kind of tiptoeing back and forth in and out of the private sector and public sector. That's why when you said, your father not holding office at the time, but potentially becoming involved in a private business.
Yeah.
I mean,
totally agree, Dante.
To me, I think this is like A1 issue of what is wrong in Washington, D.C. right now.
Totally, completely, 100% agree with you. The revolving door of Washington, D.C., the people coming in and out, the David Axelrods of the world, who went to work for Obama and then for a year, and then he comes out for a year and he represents everybody in campaigns internationally, and then he comes back into the White House and that. So it's not just Republican or Democrat. The thing about the Trump boys now is they hold and never held any government position. However, they have now gotten over $3.9 billion in Department of Defense contracts. I refuse to call it the Department of War. Department of Defense contracts in the last 18 months.
It's like me and Twitter.
And he just started the company, right?
The company. I think it went live like 6 days before inauguration.
Insane.
Okay,
Insane.
Get this. Jared Kushner, who holds no government position, no elected position, no Senate confirmed position, is our liaison to the Middle East while he is being paid not $1 million, not $2 million, not $3 million, over $110 million in fees by the Saudis, who we just granted authority or authorization to go forward with the nuclear program enrichment program that we're in a war with in Iran for them having. Okay? $6 billion into a fund. And he's never been, all this Hunter Biden, no experience. What the hell does he know about? I'll tell you what I know about. I was goddamn, not only a Yale-educated lawyer, but I worked in corporate governance. I was on 14 different boards before I joined the board of Burisma. I literally taught this at Georgetown University School of Foreign Service, the best school of foreign service in the world.
He has his real estate license, though. Do you?
Yeah. There you go.
Do you?
No, I don't have the real estate license, and they probably would have taken it from me if they did. But my point is this is not me playing victim. This is this. What I take responsibility for, it was fucking stupid. I was out of my mind at the time with grief. It was like my brother was going through it. I didn't think my dad was ever going to run for anything again. So I joined the board of this company. The moment I joined it, I put out a press release and a public statement of why I was doing it. I thought my dad had a year left as vice president. I didn't think he was ever going to run for anything ever again. I thought we were done. I thought as a family, my brother was literally on the verge of death's door. It's a death sentence when he got it, and I thought it was a way for me to be able to not struggle, to be able to figure out how I could spend time with him and get paid. And I never did a single thing for them that involved my dad. Not a single thing. However, I left open this giant hole for people to walk through, and it was stupid, and it was antithetical to at least from my 45 years of my experience of being around my dad and how I conducted my business. It was stupid.
All right, so he gets in, and then in your book you wrote that you were adamant you did not want him to run in 24.
Mm-hmm.
How
in 24
Yeah.
or 20?
20, sorry.
Yeah.
How did you nor anybody else say anything?
Oh, I did. And by the way, I was not adamant that he shouldn't run. I was adamant that I would do whatever he wanted to do. That's what I was adamant about. I never, ever, ever wanted to be the reason my dad didn't do the thing that my brother and I most wanted him to do our whole lives. Is that I did not want to be the fault line. I did not want to. I mean, like, think of your own personal experience with somebody that you adore, love, and respect as much as him, or in your life. Is that I could never go to him and say, "Dad, don't do this," and know that he wouldn't do it because of me. It would be like, I don't know, like if Arian wanted to go back and go back to the NFL, and it was his greatest dream. And if his son, I don't think his son would ever come to you and go, "Dad, don't do it."
I hope he would.
Well, by the way, that is true. And so to this degree, is that in 2020, I didn't want to be that person, but in 2024, when everything broke down after all of the consequences of that debate, and my dad asked me. And, Jake Tapper and other people reporting out there that there was some, like, me and my mother were like propping up my dad and like, carrying him around and like telling him you got to run. It's literally the furthest thing from the truth. I said to Dad, "Dad, I want you to do whatever you have to do for the country. But just know this, is that I want you back. Your family wants you back." Like I was angry. Like, they don't deserve you. Like, if you want to leave, I will be more proud of that decision than any other decision that you've ever made. I mean, I so desperately did not want my dad to spend whatever energy he had left in life is, fighting on behalf of anybody but himself and my family.
Along those lines, like, so from somebody left leaning, there's a lot of talk around that time during about how the Democratic establishment was trying to push him out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I want to know, like, how much truth behind the scenes
100%
was there to this? So there was.
Okay. So,
and then how, like as a family, how did that feel? And then the part of the question is, like, you mentioned the debate and how it was like it was a bad look, right? And I know there's pops and everything, but, like, people like to see a strong, whatever the case may be.
Man.
And, age is a part of everybody's life, right?
Yeah.
And so those two things combined as a family, how did that whole thing play out, and how did y'all deal with it?
Yeah. So the first part is yeah. So after the debate, which was horrible, and one of the biggest reasons that it was horrible is that Joe Biden is, kind of been ubiquitous and in everyone's politics for decades. And he's known as a really great debater. I mean, part of the reason that Barack Obama chose my dad to be vice president beyond their personal relationship was that my dad's performance on the debate stage during that run in 2008 in the primaries is that he had that great line about Rudy Giuliani, a noun, a verb, and 9/11. He had these great, and in his past debates as vice president and with Trump, he dominated the debate stage. So he gets out there. And it's not just that he doesn't win the debate, because remember, everybody thought that Barack Obama lost his first debate to Mitt Romney back in 2008. I don't necessarily agree with that, but that's what all the polling said. It wasn't just a bad debate that you lost. My dad walked out, and he literally, for the first time in my life I've ever seen this, he looked like a deer in the headlights. He looked blank. And what do I attribute that to? Well, I now know what to attribute it to. I thought that it may have had something to do with them giving him Ambien when he was flying back and forth, his age, the combination of that. But now I know. My dad had cancer. My dad's, he didn't know. I mean, we didn't find out until 9 months later that he not only had stage 4 prostate cancer, but he had stage 4 metastatic bone cancer, which means that it had been metastasizing for over a 3-year period of time. And for some reason, they didn't do
how does that happen, by the way?
So here's how it happens. And this is crazy to me. Under the AMA's guidelines is that you do not test somebody over the age of 75 for a PSA. You don't include that in their blood test. Excuse me. And the reason that you don't is because it would overwhelm the insurance system, because the likelihood of you dying before
Wait, for the president of the United States.
Exactly.
Stop.
Exactly.
Well, it's like if you catch it,
I'm not kidding.
a lot
being
of
serious,
Americans
right?
I'm being
die
fucking
with
serious.
prostate
Walter
cancer,
Reed, Army
and
Medical.
they don't know it.
Yeah, I think it's like a
They
huge
don't die
percentage.
from it.
No, but they all have it.
Yeah.
That's
Like,
They all
not
have
of
it,
us.
but they're going to die of something else before they die of that.
Exactly.
That's
I think it's
bonkers.
like a huge percentage too.
So
Crazy, Dante. Crazy. So regardless of what I'm saying is this. Now, in that debate, he has that moment, and that moment is like for the first 5 minutes, which is awful, to answer the rest of your question. So afterwards, they set a bunch of hurdles for him. One was to sit down for an hour and a half interview with George Stephanopoulos 2 days later. Then it was to do the NATO press conference, in which for over 2 hours he answered questions from 100, over literally 50 journalists about foreign policy and NATO, and it's a tour de force Joe Biden performance. And then he has the NAACP in Las Vegas, followed by from the Hispanic community the next day. So he passes all of those hurdles, and but immediately the quote unquote like the Pod Save America bros, and who I don't think are representative of the Democratic Party, and I don't want to start another fight with them. But
all the Johns.
I will. What?
there's multiple Johns that'll come at you.
Yeah, exactly.
guys,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. And I don't even remember who was.
Yeah.
But they're all. But they all. They're all the most important voices in the Democratic Party, because they all made Barack Obama president of the United States. They are all the reason why Barack Obama was, according to them. And but those people started to really pile on, and those people represent the money of the Democratic Party. They represent the what I call the corporate elite part of the Democratic Party. You know who stood with my dad? 100%. Black Caucus, Hispanic Caucus, the Progressive Caucus, all of the constituent parts of the Democratic Party, which are the base, whether you like it or not. Like as my dad said, what got my dad elected? Black women got my dad elected. Period. The end. Black women who organized the party, who organized South Carolina, who organized every state. Why was Kamala more than anything his number one pick? Because why did he pick the first African American woman to be on the Supreme Court? Black women got my dad elected, not just to president. I mean, black women have been getting my dad elected since 1972, and so regardless, they all stood with him. But didn't stand with him? The editorial board of the New York Times, the Pod Save America guys, David Axelrod, Rahm Emanuel, all of the technocrats of the Democratic Party that don't have any feel or touch for the actual people that actually organize and vote, but they speak for them all the time. So that part did piss me off. And he gets sick with COVID. At the end of the trip, he does the NAACP event, and then he does the next day, he goes, and he wakes up in the morning and he has a really horrible case of COVID. Flies back, looks awful. There's that awful picture of him getting off the plane. And Chuck Schumer, a representative of this group of, what you would call Democratic insiders, there really is no such thing, but, people that had organized.
Bad guy.
The George Clooney kind of, money, piece of it.
Old guard.
And they had organized basically saying that, I don't know what it was, 22 senators, Democratic senators, are going to sign a letter requesting that you drop out of the race. And they're going to oppose you all the way to the nomination, of which they couldn't. He'd already won the nomination. This whole thing like, oh, my dad didn't have any competition. Does everybody forget that RFK ran against my dad? I mean, what bigger name in a party could you have than RFK Jr. running in a primary against my dad? My dad trounced him. And so, it wasn't as if it wasn't contested. But
I would say that if it's RFK
Dad,
Jr. or Joe Biden, the sitting president, that doesn't feel to me like it's contested, right?
Oh, by the way, no,
RFK
it doesn't feel
Jr., I wouldn't
contested. By the
consider
way,
him to be
because he's the sitting president.
Yeah.
Just the same way that Jimmy Carter had to run against Ted Kennedy, but he's the sitting president. Usually sitting presidents, if they seek election.
Right.
Now, remember, the reason my dad ever even sought re-election was not because of this megalomania. I'd say from a family perspective, one and done would have been I'm all for it.
He had to. I mean, there was a joke of a list of candidates.
Yeah.
I mean, there was no
And by the way,
viable option.
Remember, he had the best midterms of any sitting president since FDR in 1932. I know we lost the House, okay? But we lost it by fewer votes. We had won more state House seats and our state legislative control than any time since 1932. He got more legislation passed in that 2-year period of time before the House changed than any president since Lyndon Johnson in 1968. Anybody.
So
and by the way, he created more jobs in 4 years, regardless if you say it was a COVID, take out the COVID, than any president in history had done in 8 years.
So and it sounds like it was a family decision as much as anything else. Like you guys were intimately involved in those conversations after the George Clooney's of the world take their knives out and the New Yorker takes their knives out. Decisions made to not seek re-election again. The aftermath of that, what were the conversations like about who's going to step up? Is it always going to be Kamala? Is it too late to have some sort of primary that's obviously not going to be planned for or well prepared?
Well, there you go.
What was that conversation like at the time?
But there you go, though. Is that they didn't think about that. And what do? Of course, Joe Biden has to endorse his vice president. You know what I mean? Of course. That there is no way that Joe Biden's going to say but he doesn't have any control now over what happens at the convention. Then it's a fight. Then you decide, like the Pod Save America thing. They were going to redo all the primaries in a 6-week period of time.
I got to ask you
what world?
I have to ask you an honest question.
Yeah.
No, ask him a lie.
So as an outsider, I think I speak for a lot of people saying this. Watching all this unfold was surreal in every sense, to the point where you're just thinking there's no way these people could be this unprepared. And no offense, but watching your father over those last 2 years, as someone who is by his side every day, this could not have been a surprise to you. Like, I know you say that
Oh no, but
that
Dante, I
that
promise
debate
you,
was, the
I promise
watershed
you,
moment.
I promise you that was a surprise to me. I've never seen it since. I never saw it before. That thing. Now, I will tell you this was not a surprise to me. Not a surprise to me that my dad actually lost a step, and that my dad actually spoke softer than he did. But like, I can just say, think of your own experience in your own life, okay? And particularly if you're close to your parents or older family members, there is a serious distinction between becoming older and frailer physically than there is become older and cognitively impaired. I know that there is a significant difference in that. I know on my mother's side of the family is that there was my mom's side of the family, there was a cognitive impairment with an older aunt, and I watched that happen. I know on my dad's side of the family is that my grandparents got older, but they never lost. Like, the first person I would pick up the phone and ask about, like, hey, what should I do about this? Or like whether it was my love life or whether it was, advice about, my kids or whatever, was my grandmother, who lived to 93. Now, she could hardly get up and out of the chair, but she was all there. That was my dad. 100% my dad. So this whole Sleepy Joe thing and all that, if that's the standard, then why aren't we having a 25th Amendment right now? The man literally falls asleep in a room full of his entire cabinet, sitting behind the Resolute desk. And that is not an exaggeration or unfair. It's not unfair of me to say that. It's not like they just caught him closing his eyes for a moment and said, oh, he's sleeping, like they would do with my dad, okay? You literally can go back and look at the videotape of him with an entire cabinet speaking behind him, sitting in a chair, and he's sleeping. He's out.
That's the irony, but also the brilliance of Donald Trump, for lack of a better term.
I know, Judge.
It's a brilliant, because I think he understands America, and America is all about advertising and branding, and he just branded your dad Sleepy Joe. And
Biden crime family, man.
And the irony is he always sleeping now.
What does your organizational chart look like for the Biden crowd? Are you a capo?
Are you a made man?
On a lot of boards.
I'm at the fucking whole top.
I do have a question though. You said you've never seen that from your dad since then.
Yes.
So do you think, had he stayed in, one, that he would have won, and two, that you believe he could have been president until he was 86?
Yeah, I think that I would have recommended. I don't think with the cancer that he should have remained president, because I think that there is a physical component to it that is required. I also do know this. Look, man, here's the honest answer. I hope everything I say is honest, okay? But the way that I feel, I believe that competence is the single most important thing to public service, okay? Competent, just being competent, like caring enough to do the job that you've been asked to do, regardless of the direction that you want to take it. But if you're going to take it that direction, do it in a competent way, in a way in which the fewest number of people get hurt and the maximum number of people benefit from it. Whatever your choice is as president, competence is the most important thing. But without communication, all the competence in the world doesn't matter. And the honest answer to what you're asking me is this, is that at some point, frailty, physical frailty, imperils your ability to be able to communicate strength to the American people. It's just true. Is that those images of him walking slower to the helicopter, or like he stood for over, I think, 2.5 hours. He shook the hand of every Air Force Academy graduate at that speech, that he then literally, he handed every single one of them something Donald Trump would never do, their diploma. And at the end of that, he turned and there was a sandbag and he fell. And like I saw Dave, had that. Or for instance, he rode his bike almost every day that he would go down to the beach with my mom. And he, like all of us have ever done, he caught his foot in the the basket of the bike that he was riding and fell over. And without the ability to communicate strength, to be completely stripped from you simply by whether it's fair or not, your age, it's how it is.
So
it's just the reality. So to answer your question, is that, I don't think that he would have stayed the entire time, but I wish he had stayed long enough to win, because he's the only person that ever beat Donald Trump, and he got 81 million votes, and he got 81 million votes because of Joe Biden, not because of Donald Trump.
You do think he would have won in 24?
I do believe that he would have won in 24. And by the way, though, I've said it before, I think my dad, could hang the moon. So it's unfair to ask me that question. I think my dad, could right now run a marathon. If you ask me that question, I'm the least unbiased person on the face of the earth about my dad.
We'll get back to macrodosing in a second. It's brought to you by Stella Blue. If you're heading to work, the gym, a road trip, or if you need a better afternoon pick-me-up, Stella Blue delivers smooth taste wherever you are. Now it's easier than ever to keep your fridge stocked because Stella Blue canned lattes are available in convenient 4-packs. It's the same incredible flavor, same big caffeine boost, same mission to help rescue pets with every purchase. Grab a 4-pack of espresso sweet cream or espresso cafe mocha today, StellaBlueCoffee.com. Find out why Stella Blue is becoming the canned latte people can't stop talking about. You can also find Stella Blue in select Circle K and 7-Elevens around the country. Check them out, StellaBlueCoffee.com. Find a store near you.
So maybe this is not the best person to ask this question, but politicians be fabricating things here and there. This one, I think he may be stretching the truth on. I just want to get your opinion on it. What's his handicap? Like, because
my dad?
Yeah, I mean, what he said in the debate stage. Some of us who are avid golfers, we kind of question that.
I think I don't know what did he say?
He said 6, right?
Yeah, I thought he was like an 8.
It was listed at
when
one point.
Yeah, when he played, he was like an 8.
When's the last time he played?
He hasn't played in a long time now, but mainly because of the presidency. I don't have time to play.
Well,
You think he would have beaten Trump in golf? He said he'd have beaten Trump in golf.
That's primetime TV right there.
I don't know. I think that he may
That
have
would
beaten
sell.
Trump with the golf club in golf, but but that's the only thing that would matter to me.
If that match ever gets set
Yeah.
up, there, you know where to
Yeah.
go to put on the broadcast.
Yeah,
Like, you come right
look,
back
man,
here.
my
we
dad.
will-
Yeah, exactly. By the way,
We will arrange
Hey,
for
you,
that.
you keep getting me trying to get the
Do you
golf thing
play?
done. I was telling Eric is that my grandfather on my mom's side was a really great golfer. We used to go up to my mom was from the Finger Lakes up in New York, in Auburn. My grandfather, Hunter, who I'm named after, Robert Hunter, my mother's maiden name. He had the Hunter Diner, which is still there in Auburn, New York. It's Silver Diner, and my grandmother, he ran the diner. And but there was this little golf course called Owasco at the Lake Owasco, and it had 9 holes and 18 tees. And he used to drop my brother and I there before he would go to the diner with my grandmom in the morning, like when we were kids. And we'd play golf all the time. And so, yeah, I played golf, but when my brother died, he was I just stopped playing. And not because of some like melodramatic thing. He was just the person I'd play with. And I didn't have any interest in playing. So I haven't picked up a club in like over 10 years.
So real quick, back to 2024 and the aftermath. I just read something yesterday.
That was just a very emotional thing.
I
Now you
know.
want to go back to that.
I did. Well, it just came
no
out.
transition.
That's
just
classic
boom.
Eric.
I read
exactly.
this. I read this yesterday, so it's fresh in mind that Vice President Harris is considering running again
Yeah.
for president.
Yeah.
What's your reaction to that? If you think she can win, if you think that it's a good idea for her to do it, and kind of the future of the Democratic Party right now, because I'm going to give your dad enormous amount of credit for one thing, and that's he's in his career, he has seemed like he was the one Democrat that you could count on that was lockstep. Anything for the working class, anything for the labor
That's it.
unions. He was the strongest guy that they had.
That's it.
Always on the left.
Yeah.
And I'm struggling to see that a lot of times right
Yeah.
now with the modern party. There are a couple of examples here and there.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I feel like there's not as much focus on what kind of built the party 100 years ago,
Yeah.
and into what it ended up becoming, as your dad showed throughout his entire career in the Senate. So curious to know your thoughts on Harris, and then who out there right now would remind you the most, given their voting record, of some of the things that your dad.
You guys can endorse somebody?
Not an endorsement, but like, these are, I think it's a fair criticism of the party that they have kind of lost the ability to connect with the working class and to show that that's first and foremost who they care about.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree at all. And that was my point about when my dad ran against Trump in 2020 and got 81 million votes, which is 7 million more votes than anyone has ever gotten running for president, ever. And including Barack Obama, including people that were, and it's because of this, is because what you see is what you get with my dad. Okay. My dad has as much, you can be a waitress in St. Paul, Minnesota, and go to mass every Sunday and be pro-life and vote for Joe Biden. Because you know what? You know that his policies as it relates to pro-choice or things like that are also informed by his Catholicism and his deep faith. And you also know that, you know what, if you're a Teamster driving a truck out of, up in Lackawanna County in PA, is that, you can vote for Joe Biden because you know he's probably just as confused as you are about transgenderism, and he's not going to shove it down your throat, okay? And he's going to support your union, and he's going to make. But really, I think people miss that about that. Like this focus on 0.2% of the population is insane to me, and
It's marketing. It's marketing by the right.
Yeah, and I don't even get it. I particularly hate when athletes start weighing in on it as if there's some other than this. It's literally 0.5%, maybe. At most of the entire population. Like, leave them be, man. Like, shit, Jesus Christ must be hard enough already. Like, just, leave the fucking be. And so, but you know what? They knew Joe Biden was going to shove it down your throat, okay? And they knew that he was going to support the union that you're in. And he knew it because, you know how they knew it? Because he saved your pensions, and he knew it. And so, you could be from your neighborhood in Jersey and see voting for Joe Biden.
Jerry's a union guy. He's our top union guy we got.
No,
I'm from the union.
That's what I'm saying. So you could see that. Yeah,
I left it a while ago.
Who represents that in the party today? The other thing is that also what Joe Biden was able to do is that he was able to go to places like South Carolina, in which a majority of the primary voters in the state of South Carolina are African American, and be able to talk to and associate and relate to that. Because as Jim Clyburn said, is that not only we know Joe knows us. Because he's been doing it and developing those relationships. I mean, he's been down there. And it's like I said to you before, why do I shake everybody's hands coming here? It's not because I'm running for something. It's because I just watched my dad. I've watched my dad do it. And that's how he is with everybody. The thing that got him elected in 2020, and I know nobody will maybe even remember this. New York Times editorial board sat down with my dad like they did every Democratic primary candidate. And they ripped him apart. And they have a whole video of it. So they film you coming in the New York Times building, and then you go up in the elevator, and then you go and sit, and they film it the whole thing. And there's 14 of them from the New York Times editorial board, and they're all the smartest people in the world, and blah, 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 blah. They rip my dad, and they endorse, I forget who it was, Elizabeth Warren and somebody else. They did a dual endorsement. But that video, you know what it showed? My dad having a lengthy discussion of the woman that was the elevator operator, going up and down. In one ride, he got her whole life. She told him everything. Told him everything about her aspirations, what she's struggling with, what she's doing. And it literally, it was like they caught the conversation and they included it in the little video. That's why my dad got elected. My dad got elected because he took the train every day between Wilmington and Delaware. And I promise you, every single person that's ever taken that was a conductor on that train, they've been over to dinner at my house and grown up. Those interactions, those thousands and thousands of interactions. My dad probably gets at least 15 calls a week that he takes from kids that he met along in rope lines that stutter. because he gave him their number. I don't really think it's about your policy. I think big picture things you got to care about. Like, are we for more foreign wars? Are we, am I, by the way, all of it. There's big policy. You know what I think it's about? I think it's about truly being authentic. People don't give a shit anymore. You know what they just want? They want somebody to do what they say that they're going to do, and have a conviction about it, and not be full of shit about fucking everything. That's why they voted for Trump, because that's what they believed. What they believed, and this is why I don't fault people. What they believed they were getting with Trump was somebody that was authentic, that was going to take on the forces that they've been told fuck them over. But I say that there's a big difference. And people have been easily fooled between what is authentic and what is audacious. He has the audacity to say things that he knows are not true. He had the audacity to tell us maybe you could shine light inside the body to end this. He had the audacity to tell people that it's not a very big deal when COVID came along. He had the audacity to tell us that he was going to end the war in Ukraine in one day. He had the audacity to say that it was Kamala Harris and Joe Biden that were going to start a war with Iran. He had the audacity to tell us that the Biden crime family, as they literally, I will be surprised if they ever leave the White House, that there is a single copper pipe left in the walls. They had the audacity to tell people things. It's not authenticity. So to answer your question, if Kamala's herself, like truly herself, and not and not listening to pod save bros and who like have advice for everybody, and then and on the side are charging candidates for that advice while they tell us everything, is if she's herself and is not a poll tested Zoran Mamdani. I know I talk too much, by the way. Zoran Mamdani.
That's what you're here for, man.
I don't care what you think about Zoran Mamdani. Competence and communication. Authentic. He says what he fucking thinks. Forget about whether
I'll
you
give
like
you
it or
the
not.
last two, but competent?
No. Well, look. Here's the thing. He came in.
You think Mamdani's competent?
I haven't seen anything competent on him. I'm... Was that a real cough, or you were going? Bullshit. Is that all I know is that he has made promises about certain things, and he's addressed them, and he's done that. He has actually followed through. And the biggest thing that I can tell you that he's done that leads me to believe that there's competence is that in a 9-month period of time, or however long it's been since, 7-month period of time, he has balanced the budget of New York City for the first time in 2 decades? That alone seems to me to be a level of competence.
That's fair. Good point.
His leadership through what's her name as a police commissioner has not cut one police officer. Like we're going to defund the cops. That has not happened. He has someone who I would say is closer to being a Republican than a Democrat at leading the law enforcement effort of his administration. He has and I can't go into all of the things because I don't know them all. But at least from my perspective, the competence of it is that he said he was going to build co-op grocery stores. And whether you think that's a good idea or not, they're breaking ground on co-op grocery stores in every borough of the 5 boroughs. And so you may disagree with him. But you know what? I'll tell you what. The way he communicates and the way that he does it, that he's not pretending to be anybody else.
He's doing what he ran on. You are right
That's
about
all.
that.
Yeah.
What do you think about Gavin Newsom?
I personally really like Gavin as a human being. The thing is that he was good to me, and what I mean is not like good to me like he did me, and he was and I think everybody has somebody like this in their life. Is that he never kind of like publicly disowned me, and instead he embraced me as a friend, and
That goes a long way.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah.
And so when so many people in his position, I'd known Governor Newsom from before, just by happenstance. I'd gotten to meet him. And so when everything broke down, like I didn't get many phone calls. I would get a phone call once a month just to check in, or a text. Hey, just want to make sure you're doing okay. Nothing public or anything like that. So personally for me, he is an authentically genuine human being. When he didn't have anything to gain by being my friend, he was my friend. So I'll always love Governor Newsom for that.
A lot of people think, probably not as true as a lot of people think, but the narrative is out there that in DC everyone's friends behind the scenes, that it's a theater, that people perform in front of the news cameras. They go on their Fox News or they go on the MSNBC and they play to their base. They talk about this big fight that they're in, and then the cameras are off. Everybody's relatively hunky-dory or friendly afterwards.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know what your relationship is and what your family's relationship is, if at all, with the Trump family. How many times you've interacted off camera, away from things, and
I'm not fucking around.
And what those interactions are like.
Yeah, no, I have zero relationship with them. And like, again, imagine this somebody saying this about your dad or your dad.
Yeah, I would ask to throw hands.
Or somebody that you love as much as you know I love my dad, and the way that they treat him. And I really mean it. Is that I know, and you know, that whole thing is that I'm not running for anything. So I can say whatever the fuck I want. And here's what I think. I think Chuck Schumer's a piece of shit and that he'd fuck my dad over. I think that the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi at the time, also was involved in that. And so I don't have anything nice to say about it.
We're
now.
not fans
and you know
of
what?
Nancy.
And I'm supposed to be the guy that says, oh, but you know what? What for what Nancy Pelosi has contributed to this country and to the Democratic Party, I'm not supposed. Fuck that, man. And as it relates to Donald Trump, fuck him. Fuck his sons. Fuck his daughter. I mean it. All of them. The whole family, down to the grandchildren. I hope for the rest of time that I am on this earth, that their names will live in ignominy. And by the way, here's the thing. Like, oh, this is going to get clipped, and this is going to be the thing, and you know, you go out there. But let me just tell you something. What would you expect me to say? What would you expect me to say about a man that treats my father that way, publicly? What would you expect me to say about a man that treats my mother that way, that treats my sister that way? They stole her fucking diary and published it. Said my dad is a pedophile.
Yeah.
They were involved in that directly. What would you expect me to say about a group of people that have the capacity and the capability to do that? They may think, oh, all's fair in love and war and politics. And, well, that's how you get power. Well, you know what? Fuck them and fuck that. They have done the most awful things to my family and to me personally. Forget about me, though. I can take it. But I'll never forgive that. And you know what? I think people just have to start to get real in DC. I don't think there's as much of that chumminess as there was before. And I appreciated that chumminess because sometimes it's the thing that allowed things to get done.
I just saw a clip of your dad and Lindsey Graham from
exactly
like the 2000s.
You saw what I wrote about Lindsey Graham?
Yeah.
I wrote this. I said, I will remember the Lindsey Graham before the age of Trump because he was a different person. He truly was.
Why do you think that might be?
Well, I've said it before, and so I mean it. I think, and I don't know whether Lindsey Graham was being blackmailed because he was gay.
Come on.
Okay, I don't know. What I'm saying is really important for me also to be completely honest about this, because I saw the clips of people think that, oh, like I have like tea to spill, like I have some super insider knowledge, like I know, but I just know. It's not because I witnessed anything, but I know because everybody that was close just knew that was the case. It's not me making stuff up.
It's about Lindsey Graham.
Lindsey Graham in particular.
Gotcha.
Okay? I mean, everybody knew that. Everybody's close to him. And for whatever reason, is that everyone is willing to keep that secret for these people. I don't think those things, I'm not here to out anybody. I always say to people, And I think, I mean, we're almost like, you guys are younger than me, but not by much.
Maybe not Eric.
And what?
I was fucking-
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I'm the oldest guy. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, Dante, how old are you?
42.
Yeah, I
there you
mean,
go.
like I'm a decade and a half older. Okay, I'm 56. In my experience in my formative years, LGBTQ rights were kind of like our civil rights in a way. It was the last thing in society where, like, I knew friends of mine that I were growing up had a really, really, really hard time coming out. Like, they went through awful experiences coming out, or they were scared to death to come out, or that you didn't find out. They didn't come out until 20 years later when you went back to the high school reunion. They were finally able to do it. And so I'm not in any way like minimizing the how hard that is for somebody to come out, particularly if you're my age. So I'm not here to out anybody, but I do believe that there are, and I know this to be true, a group of almost exclusively Republicans.
You've called it a gay mafia.
Yeah, and it should be called, somebody wrote me back and they said there's actually a name for it. It's called the Velvet Mafia. And I don't know why that is the case or what it is, but the fact is this. It is an open secret in D.C. And people's sexuality has been off limits because it should be off limits, right? Because it shouldn't matter.
Well, not if you're pushing policy to
Not if you're pushing
people.
policies to actually not only that are cruel,
Yeah.
that are purposely oriented to harm an entire community, of which you're secretly a part of.
Yeah,
in some way.
isn't that like the most?
Well, think about the psychology of it. You guys know this. Is particularly Jerry? What's the thing that kills you the most? It's the secret, right?
Oh yeah.
It's that black hole in your heart. Is that particularly if that secret is one thing that you've been told over and over that you're evil for, that you're dirty, that you are, like, if that's the environment that you've grown up in, saying, what are you doing? Is that every time that you are being yourself, you're doing something that you believe is awful. So what you do is you take it out on the rest of the world. I mean, I didn't make this up. Like, read a book. I mean, like, literally, like, I mean, every megalomaniac of, I was explaining it to my daughter, like, Donald Trump's closest friend, Roy Cohn. Roy Cohn, who was the architect of the House, or the Committee on Un-American Activities, and the whole Red Scare and McCarthyism of the 50s, the 40s, 50s, and into the 60s, Roy Cohn was gay. He died of AIDS. He kept it secret his whole life. That hatred, that vileness, the way that he literally attacked homosexuals in Hollywood and labeled them as communist, had them put in prison, had them, along with an FBI director who was gay, Hoover, who did the same thing and persecuted gay people in the United States of America. That's the same thing that's happening to gay. And and again, I don't have any direct knowledge of it, but it's a real thing. And I don't think it's more important than the oligarchy. I don't think it's more important than Donald Trump, for instance, in terms of being a threat. But it's a real thing. And
Dante called dibs on that topic. Dante texted me like a week ago. He's like, I called dibs on this topic. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay, you got it, buddy. Dibs are all yours. What do you think about it, Dante?
I just think that one time is a coincidence, but when it's repetitive, where it's the most outspoken people who are like passing judgment and are so self-righteous.
Yeah.
And then when their skeletons get exposed, it's just one of those things where I don't know. It's kind of infuriating, to be honest.
Is there a running count? There's got to be like a running count by now, right?
There is. And I'm sure there is.
Right
But by the
outings.
way, this is the thing that all the things that nobody ever talks about, right? They never talk about this. Is that if you want to be a pedophile, where do you go? You become a priest, or you become a pastor, and you go teach at a school, or you become a gym coach, or you become like the things that like for instance, they're not kidding. It's not it's not apocryphal when they say that Grindr, crashed at the Republican convention. That was real.
No, that happens all the time.
That was real. And my experience is this, is that the most vocally, vociferously anti-gay, trans, people are the most likely to have that internal conflict. And I can point to example. I mean, just think of it in your own life. Think of it in your own life. Thinking of him growing up. Thinking about the church that you went to. The priest that everybody knew. He would get up on Sunday and he would make these speeches, and then, amazingly, 10, 15 years later, when you were the choir boy, every other choir boy told you, I think about it from my own life. I went to I won't say this school, but because it was a great school. The gym teacher, we all called him? This is when I was like 5th to 6th grade. Groper.
Damn.
But by the way, everybody called him the Groper. And nothing happened until 15 years later when people started to talk about it. Yeah, but you know what? He was the most conservative, the most right wing, in 6th grade, he would argue with me because my dad was a United States Senator. He would argue with me about politics and right. He was, but everybody's had that experience, right? The people that are hiding their truest self become that monster that is intent on killing what's inside them by attacking everything outside of them.
I think that's what I respect about your I want to say rebranding is that I went through some small public humiliation stuff back when I played, and I found out that therapy and stuff like that one of the quotes that kind of helped me out was he who wears his dirt the best is the healthiest, and I think that's what's the kind of the reverberating thing through this conversation is even in politics as well, especially from our legislators, if you just honest with who you are, people respect that way more than you holding some line of what you're supposed to be in somebody else's mind. We respect it more. And so
yourself.
Yeah, it's be to thine own self be true, right, Big T?
Mm-hmm. Two things, right? That and there's this guy, Chase Hughes, who, have you guys ever listened to Chase Hughes? Go look at the YouTube things of Chase Hughes. He goes on all the shows. He's a former CIA guy, but he does all this thing. And the thing that I learned from him is, which I totally agree with, is this. Is almost every mistake I've ever made in my life, at the root of it, is fear. Whether it was my fear of doing something that I should have done that I knew was the right thing to do, or fear of failing, or fear of being found out, a fear of being judged, everything, or fear of not having enough, so I needed more. Everything is fear-based. And what they did to me allowed me, what? What do I got? I used to be, this whole thing would almost send me into a panic attack in a previous life. And I don't know if you guys ever do public speaking, or if you put a camera and a microphone on me, because maybe it was the fear of expectation that I was supposed to be as great an orator as my dad, or whatever it may be. Whatever it was, is I lived in that fear. They completely obliterated that, because what do I have to be afraid of? Misspeaking? Saying something that I shouldn't say? I figured out is that if you just say what you really think, it may be wrong. And you know what you get to do? You get to come back and say, I was wrong about that.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel any guilt at all rooting for the Eagles?
Yeah,
76ers, congrats, you got a super team now.
Yeah.
Hope you're happy. A once proud sports town
the greatest thing about
selling
that,
their soul to LeBron.
The greatest thing about that is that in part, it's because of the gift that the people of Boston were able to provide for us in Philadelphia, and probably the dumbest trade since in losing Babe Ruth.
Yes,
yeah. But I am
worse than Luka.
Yeah,
worse.
Worse.
What do you mean?
Wait, you think it's worse than Luka?
Yeah.
Because I guess you get rid of the Paul George contract too.
Yeah. And trade him to Nemesis.
Yeah. But we have a lot of Philly sports fans around here. One of the producers, a part of my take, big Philly guy, and he was saying he's not going to boo LeBron, no matter how bad LeBron plays, since he's in Philly on a vet minimum, that he's unbooable. And I told him that was sad that Philadelphia's compromising.
He may be the only person.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, if he's, which I believe he is a true Philly fan. He'll break that commitment within the first week.
He will. He says a lot of stuff. He gets caught up in the moment sometimes.
Oh my God! I mean, my brother used to serve. He put those backpacks on it in the old Vet Stadium when it was the Vet Stadium, and he would hot chocolate. He'd put on a backpack and hot chocolate up in the 700 section. And we used to go to games at Vet Stadium. That was a different world. You literally would gear up for the fight before you got into that, and it was changed a little bit, but
they had the jail down below.
Exactly. The first one ever to have the jail in the stadium. I remember the ice balls.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. There's a laundry list, but you get to watch LeBron all year. You get to pretend like you didn't hate LeBron until he joined the Sixers.
He doesn't play.
By the way, I never hated LeBron. I have to admit. I live out in LA now, and so I'm a LeBron fan as a human being as much as a basketball player.
LeBron over MJ?
Yeah.
Trump said that LeBron was racist.
Yeah, I know. Which
was that like 2 days ago?
Yeah. I think he also followed up with he doesn't like Trump, so
he doesn't like him.
Trump doesn't like him.
But by the way, I did this thing. That's why he bombed. Everybody's like this White House Correspondents' Dinner, and I was serious. It made me sad. The reason it made me sad is that the realization that he's humorless. He never can be funny unless it's at somebody else's expense. Ever once.
I did one time. Somebody asked him if he drank alcohol. And, his brother had a bad experience. His brother was an addict. And he goes...
His brother died of alcoholism.
Yeah. And he goes, I'd never touched it. Can you imagine if I had, though? I'd be the worst. I'd be the world's worst person. Yeah. So kind of like saying, like, I'm so...
I've never heard him... I've never heard him attempt humor that isn't at somebody else's expense. The humor is... what he is like, it's like, holy shit, did he just do that? Did he just post that? Did he just, like, it's funny that someone of his position is doing things that are so different than the way it's ever been done before. But I'm talking about true humor, the ability to step out of yourself for one moment and stand in somebody else's shoes. The only reason I brought it up is because of that. Because I think that the single biggest problem with Donald Trump is his inability to do that. His inability to ever see anyone through their eyes is to have that empathy, to be able to understand. Now, does he understand your id? Does he understand your ego? Does he understand what will get you angry? Does he understand how to brand and how in the mind of the American people? Clearly.
Yeah.
Clearly
Just
he's
from
figured it out.
Listening to you talk about some specific individuals today,
Yeah.
would you rather have dinner with Don Jr. or go on Pod Save America?
Oh my God. Can I start smoking crack again?
If you had to
Either
pick.
one. Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah.
Are you Don Jr. guy or an Eric guy?
You won't pick. You got to pick. You got to pick.
Don Jr.
Wow.
Damn.
Don Jr.
That's...
Yeah.
Which one's the brains? Which one's the good looks behind the operation between Eric and Don Jr.?
I think Don Jr. is the more celebrated by his father.
Yeah.
Hence the name.
Is that the taller one? I get him confused.
No, Eric's the tall
Eric's
Got you.
taller.
one. Yeah, Eric's the tall one. Jerry, you got any questions for him?
No, I just so
That was a quick pivot.
for me, like, I'm interested in, because I've been sober a little while now. Like, what was the conversation like? Did, like, your dad be like, "Yo, you got to go. Like, I'm getting heat for this. You got to go away." Like, was it your decision? Did your family? Because for me, my family kind of. I try not to get emotional when I talk about this, but, like, my mom found me next to a dumpster, right? And like sleeping on the floor, like, "Hey, pick me up. Like, you got to go away. Like, this is it. There's no, like, I'm tired of this.
Yeah.
Like, you look terrible. You're going to die here." So that, I didn't want to go away. It wasn't my choice. It was like, I kind of looked at my mom and I'm like, oh, fuck, I got to go.
Yeah.
For you, what was it like? Were you kind of forced to do it? Was it like, did you have an awakening? Like, okay,
No.
I got to do this, or how did it work? How did it go down?
No, I wasn't forced at all. But remember, I had gotten sober in 2003 and stayed sober for about 7 years, and then I had a relapse, and that relapse was literally like a cycle of hell between like 2010 and 2019, like 9 years of hell, and I would get years. I had voluntarily gone back to multiple rehabs in between that time, and then they caught me. I was up in I was literally living in motels up on 95 between Massachusetts and Connecticut, like, and up 81 up over that way, and so they caught me because I was driving back down. Not caught me. Said, "Hey, just please stop over." My daughter called me.
Okay.
My oldest, and she said, "Dad, please, I need to see you." And they had an intervention.
Okay.
And
Was your dad there?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I freaked out. I said, "You're out of your mind." But I said yes. I'd go. And so I got on a plane. Oh, that's not true. They drove me to a rehab that was in Reach, and I said, "Okay, I'm good." Drop me at the gate. So they dropped me at the gate. I waited till the car left, and I called an Uber, and they can't keep you there.
Yeah.
And they can't say anything to anybody. And they got an Uber, and I got on a plane, and I flew out to LA. And with the intention of committing suicide, not, blowing my brains out, or not doing, I shouldn't even talk about it that way. It's so dark, but not physically killing myself in the immediate, because I didn't have the courage to do that, but I knew I was going to die. And I don't know what your experience is, but the crack cocaine was only part of the problem. I mean, they kept me in that
cycle.
Yeah. But the drinking was the thing that was literally killing me.
Mhm.
Like, I was drinking like a gallon of vodka a day.
Gallon.
Yeah, gallon of vodka a day.
Holy shit.
And I mean, it was like water. I mean, just like, and who knew what a day was and it wasn't. You know what I mean? But I was buying a gallon of vodka almost daily. And and that was the pain, the real pain. What you do is legitimately getting scared of when you detox is alcohol. Everything else,
You could die
2 or
from
3
it.
days.
Yeah,
You
you
die
could die
from it.
from
It's the
the
only thing you
detox.
can die from.
Yeah,
Other
and
than
Xanax.
benzos.
Yeah.
Talking about weaning yourself off of it.
Yeah. Alcohol impacts every single organ in your body, every single pleasure center in your brain. And if you suddenly cease using alcohol, if you become physically dependent upon it, you'll have seizures and die.
Oh yeah.
And but if you're on crack or even on heroin, it feels awful.
Yeah, heroin affects your body. Crack is just mental.
Yeah.
Like crack cocaine is just a mental.
And you were just like you didn't ever drink that much. Did
No,
you?
I drank like twice my whole life. That was it. But like I was on heroin and crack cocaine, but then I got off the heroin from Suboxone. I was using Suboxone instead of heroin.
Yeah.
And when I went, I didn't really have any like crazy physical withdrawals because I was using more crack cocaine than the Suboxone. But like the withdrawal part of it with the alcohol, and I've witnessed it like firsthand. It's brutal.
Yeah.
It's really
The
bad.
DTs, the shakes.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So for you, it was like the alcohol would then lead itself to making the bad decisions,
exactly.
like getting back on.
Is that the hardest part would be that. And so anyway, I get out to LA, and my intention is basically to disappear. They don't have no idea where I am now. I have this period of time in which I'm going to be a month, 2 months, whatever I make it, locked away somewhere safe for them, so they can all feel like I'm being taken care of, in which I was basically going to disappear from the world. And that's when I met Melissa. And it was the strangest thing ever, and too long of a story of the whole series of events. After everyone in my life, particularly my daughter, is like desperately trying to save me, my dad desperately trying to save me, always being there for me, always leaving the door open. it took a complete stranger to for me to say okay. And so I met her. The first day I met her, I mean, it was like, I don't even know, like I wasn't hanging out with civilians in any way. You know what I mean? Unless you had access to or providing me with drugs, I didn't have any relationships that I would involve outside of it. And which is a lot of, by the way, a lot of that has to do with the prostitution piece of it.
Mm-hmm.
There's more access to drugs than anything.
Sure.
I mean, sex always comes along with things like crack addiction and things like that, and alcohol, in my experience. And but all consenting adult kind of stuff, nothing I'm proud of. My point is, I wasn't going on any real dates. What do you call dates? I didn't have any girlfriends, as some women have claimed to have been. You know,
what's the biggest misconception people about addiction that people have never experienced it or witnessed it don't seem to get in your experience?
I think a big one is like, you want to stop really bad. I feel like people like look down on people like me or Hunter, like, oh, you're worthless piece of shit. Like, we know it in the moment. Like we get up every day, and I don't know if you've experienced this, but like, we just, like, for me, like, I'm outside being like praying like, God, either kill me or save my life. Either one. Like, I can't do this anymore. So like we want to stop really bad. It's just a lot harder to. You know what I mean? Like, it just has it like grips on you that, like, you know, in the moment doing these things is wrong. You know you're killing yourself.
No, you're killing your family.
Your family.
No, you're killing everybody.
Yeah, like you see it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just like, I want to stop so bad. I just can't stop. It's like, I'm not able to stop. You know what's crazy, Aaron, is like, I've been to 14 places, 14 different inpatient facilities, countless detoxes, psych wards. They told me the same thing in the first place as they did the 14th. The only thing that changed was my mindset.
When the student is ready.
Exactly. You know what I mean? So I think that's a big misunderstanding that people have when it comes to addiction is, we want to stop so bad. We know we're doing the wrong thing. We just...
So is it more like you...
And I don't know if you feel the same, Hunter.
No, I totally do. And I think that the one thing that I would add to that is the question I always get is basically a version of that question, Aaron, which is why? Like, why are you doing that? Like, how is it not obvious to you that you're literally like a disease on yourself and your entire ecosystem around you? And the answer is that the real honest answer is because at first it worked.
Yeah. Like the way it makes you feel.
Why did you do it? Why did I do it? Because it solved every single problem I had. When I was a kid, it allowed me to go up and ask a girl out. It gave me courage. It gave me, I could go dance. I could have fun. I didn't feel so alone in a crowded room. All of the anxieties that I had were lifted. That at first it worked. Until it doesn't. And then when it doesn't, it's literally the thing that you trust most in the world telling you every time you're in an uncomfortable position, or that you're feeling any anxiety or you're feeling any discomfort, whatever in your life, it's saying to you, I have the answer. The thing you trust the most is firing neurons. It's not like it's like weakness and, like you're like, it's like, oh, I really wanted to. It's like the thing you trust most in the world is that, by the way, you have to trust, is literally sending little electronic, impulses through your brain saying, get a drink. Until the point where the worst part is, or a drug, whatever your case may be. And we all know this. We all can relate to that actual experience. Just think of it this way. Every one of you has a bag of heroin in their pocket right now. It's called an iPhone. And we all know that we should put it away and that we shouldn't do it. But it's our dopamine hit, and everybody engages in it, even though we all know that we should not spend probably and maybe you're different than 99% of us, but that we should not spend half the time that we do looking at our phones, flipping through social media, going through our emails, hitting our text messages, whatever it is. But it's that little thing of dopamine. Put that on steroids and there you got crack or alcohol or whatever.
And the thing is, they're much like heroin or some other drugs. They're designing whether you're an app designer, if you're a hardware designer, these things are being studied and updated to make you more addicted.
I mean, that's
like year after year after year, every update after update after update. It is a cycle that I don't know. And I've heard you talk about some of the tech bros out there. I know that you haven't minced words when it comes to the people that run the social media apps out there. I don't know what is going to change as a country. There's certainly no incentive for them to stop making money and come out with the most recent iteration of an addictive social media app, or just the entire way that they operate. It's not good for our mental health. People are committing suicide in record numbers. It's bad for self-image for kids that are growing up on these apps. I don't know what changes, and that's one thing that's like, it does make me feel like I am I'm just a doomer. Like I feel like it's going to get worse before it gets better when it comes to social media. Yeah. I don't know, in your experience, the people that you've talked to, the people that you know, is there a way that any of this stuff, in your opinion, could be legislated, or it could be, at least we could make an attempt to improve on it?
I sure hope so, because we're in deep shit if we aren't able to do it. Because here's the thing. All of these things are tools. All of these things are necessary tools. All of these things are incredibly beneficial tools. The promise of social media is a beautiful thing. The promise of people to be able to connect and share ideas and promulgate incredible solutions to life. And it's a tool. It's a hammer. Like I had a hammer. But AI is an incredible tool that may be the thing that allows us to find a cure for cancer. Cryptocurrency in the blockchain is an incredible development as it relates to the way in which we are able to associate and build communities, meme tokens, all of it. I love it. It's an incredible tool. It's an incredible tool to be able to create and build a house and build a community and like the blockchain is like the most incredible way for people to do microtransactions across the globe without any need for big banks or, all of the things that have been the monopolies that have kept people out of an economy. All these things are tools. It takes leadership. It takes leadership because it is like literally human nature. What happened in the turn of the century in the 1900s when Teddy Roosevelt became president? By the way, if you ever can read any book, read about Teddy Roosevelt, president. The most amazing human being. Forget about just as president. But what did he do? At a time when the consolidation of wealth in the United States and globally was at the height of global history. John D. Rockefeller had more money than any human being that had ever lived. All going back to like Cleopatra and Alexander the Great. Okay, and it took Teddy Roosevelt, who was labeled a class traitor in the 1900s, to take on the Standard Oil and break up the monopolies. Which are, by the way, J.D. Rockefeller was much more of an ominous and controlling person than Elon Musk ever will be. Okay, and Teddy Roosevelt, we had the right leader at the very right moment in time. He said, "Fuck it, I don't care," and he went up and he broke up all the trust. He didn't solve all of our problems. And by the way, his cousin FDR comes along. And what did it take? It took the Depression. It took the Depression to be able to rethink and create basically a social democratic state. And whether you like the label or not, what did he do? The GI Bill. What did they do? They did rent control. What did they do? They created the Social Security. All of the things that we now, Medicaid, it came much later in Medicare and under Johnson. But my point is that it takes leadership. It just takes leadership. Yeah, because if we don't have the leadership, This is what we get.
The leadership right now is the people from the companies that are testifying.
Running it.
They're trying to write the laws for
They're
themselves.
not trying
Yes.
to. They've written the
They're
law.
literally
Exactly.
writing
They have
Section
seats
230
at
is
the
not going
table.
anywhere.
I do think-
Literally seats at
Sit
the
at
table.
the table. Literally. I mean, look at the inauguration. Look who was standing behind
Yes.
him.
Yeah, and I don't think that there's any ideological core that these guys have.
None.
I
Money.
think it's money and like when
Shareholder.
they pretended to be woke back in 2016, 2017, 2018.
Yeah.
Like, do you think that Uber gives a fuck about LGBTQ
No.
rights? No, they don't. They put they change their logo into a rainbow flag once a year because that was what they thought would make them more palatable in terms of marketing to the masses out there. So they just kind of go whichever way the wind's blowing. Now that when it became clear that Trump was going to get reelected, then they started taking meetings with him, and Mark Zuckerberg was like, "We need to change the way we do things." And it was pretty obvious that they only care about the money that goes into their pocket at the end of the day. But you're right, we do need. I always think about, like, what if Social Security did not exist? What if there was no such thing, and then somebody presented the idea
Communism.
to Congress? They would, they might get arrested at the time. Be like, okay, well,
Yeah.
you're a communist. Like,
Yeah.
we have a lot of things in place that do a lot of good for people that if they were brand new would be labeled as the most evil ideas ever.
Okay, let me ask you guys a question, okay? All right. Who thinks that in the United States of America, this day and age, in this moment in time, in this stage of our history, and being a part of the global order, okay, that we should be the only industrialized nation in the world that does not have universal health care? Only country in the world, industrialized country in the world, that does not have access for free to basic health care. Meaning, like, somebody should be able to go to the emergency room or have preventative medicine, like checkups, for free, so that they know if their kid gets hit by a car, it's not going to bankrupt them, literally bankrupt them. If their kid gets sick with a fever, 104 fever, they can rush to the emergency room without thinking that they would have to give up a month's paycheck to do so. What world do we live in? Does anybody disagree with that?
Yeah.
You don't think there should
No, I
be?
don't. There's people that disagree with that. Absolutely.
The thing is,
I'm saying around this table.
Close.
Yeah.
I'm around this table. But does anybody think that anymore?
Yeah.
We came close to it, and as your dad put it, it's a big fucking deal when Obamacare happened. But there was like a 1-2 week period where it seemed like that was going to be the thing, where it was going to be, there would be a public option in it, and that there would be essentially Medicare for all. And then in the nature of compromise, that got taken away because I guess a lot of the right-leaning Democrats didn't want to push.
Didn't
that
have
through.
anything to do with right or left. It had to do with the money being it had to do with their constituency in terms of who were the biggest donors, Democrats and Republicans. There are things that 80% of Americans agree on that we're never going to get because of the fact that they fund both of the parties.
It's the biggest
Both of
industry in the country.
Yeah, you talk about Joe Manchin, the great, like his great compromise, like he's a guy right in the middle.
If you
Bullshit.
can be- if
You
you
know
can
what
be
he
in
was in the
charge of
middle of? He was in the
compromises.
middle of every single
Yeah.
one of these guys handing him a goddamn check.
Yeah.
And the reason he left office is because they weren't going to hand him checks anymore because he didn't have any. Like, what did it matter? Republicans won. Joe Manchin becomes irrelevant. So what does he do? He picks up and he goes back to his mining company in West Virginia that he got when he was a governor. My point is that it's all money. The one thing I would let you is that, like, forget about the conspiracies. Every one of the things that we complain about, everyone, both sides, all have to do with who got a seat at the table because of their moneyed interest. Every one of them.
So yeah, that seems like it's nice to say let's get rid of all the lobbyists. I don't know if how is that going to happen? How is that even possible to
I don't know, man.
to outlaw lobbying? It feels like it's something that's never going to happen.
Yeah, but I think the only way that it happens is that we make it happen. And I know that I get a lot of shit for, like, for instance, like, I really like whether it's talking to Candace Owens or Nick Fuentes or or Tucker Carlson or Sean Ryan or all of these people that I've talked to, or by the way, somebody that sits over all of it, who, Jesus Christ, his fans are more anarchists than anything. Andrew Callahan, okay, like all of these people that are outside the norm. But you know what? They're all incredibly active, and you know what? It's like the reason I'm talking to them because there's got to be a radical change in the way that we do things. And the only thing that I can think of that is good from my perspective as it relates to Donald Trump is I think he broke the whole system. I think he's broken everything. Everything's up for grabs now. It's like, what do I think? I think that I want people that are going to come in and they're going to promise that we are going to break this, not break the Constitution, not break the promise of our democracy, not break our institutions that work, but break the gridlock that prevents us from ever doing what everybody comes in and says that they're going to do.
I love that.
The thing that is this, the fucking Epstein files. I'm just using it as an example. It's like, here's like what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? Whether it's an issue like that, or whether it's an issue like healthcare for everybody, or whether it's an issue like, we could name 10 just going around the table, in my opinion, that we could all agree on. They're like, that just doesn't make sense. And I tell you what, it doesn't make sense, is because because they're buying it.
Do you have these kind of conversations with your dad?
I've had these like my whole life.
Right.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is that, you realize is that I think we're in a very different time. So I can be much more strident in not I can be, is that number one, I'm my own man.
Mm-hmm.
I love my dad. I think that I've been informed by his work ethic and the way in which he approached public service. I don't know of anybody that I'm more proud of that in the way that he served and cared about the people he served, the American people.
Have you seen?
But that doesn't mean I believe everything. I agree with everything
For
that,
sure. And that's to this point.
did.
Is like,
Yeah.
how have you seen his politics evolve as your life has went on? Because like, from my perspective, he's gotten way more progressive as the time has gone on.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think it's way more progressive. Like here's one of the greatest examples.
Not him and Obama ran on like against, not necessarily against, but not for gay marriage. Was it 2008?
No, but here's the thing on that. Remember this,
Mhm.
okay? They were opposed to it.
Mhm.
The Obama campaign was, okay? There was DACA, with the Defense Against Marriage Act, okay? Or was it called DACA? Anyway. And my dad went on, I forget what show it was, like Meet the Press or something, as vice president. And the Obama administration officially hadn't come out for gay marriage. They were still opposed to it. They weren't saying, and they weren't commenting on it because it was legislation. And my dad went on Meet the Press, and he got out ahead. He didn't mean to. He didn't mean to like upstage the president, but he was asked, "What do you think about a man being married?" And he was the first major politician in either party to say, "I think love is love." And he was informed about his own experience with his dad, my grandfather, to way back. It was a gay couple that they knew, and my dad had this whole story behind it. And it's just, I think love is love. And people should be able to marry who they want to marry. And David Axelrod and the people inside the Obama administration literally like went nuts. And they were, they put like, you can do this. They kind of put my dad, in the doghouse until it became the position of the Obama administration. Mm-hmm. And so I think that there's things as it relates on social issues in which my dad, I have seen his, the progression. But personally, generally, I don't, I think he's been able to politically become more strident about things as they have become more accept it. But I can't think of anything, like radically different between the way my dad felt, or advocated for policies that were.
One thing you and I might have in common is, so my dad kind of would interact with people. It sounds like some of the way that your father would, which is like everybody in a room was a conversation to him. Like he wanted to go up, introduce himself to everybody, no matter what it was. As a son, sometimes being with him while he's doing that, especially if you're younger, maybe you're late for something and your dad's just like being over talkative and it's making you late for another appointment again.
Yeah.
Or like he goes up and talks to somebody and you get embarrassed because you're like a 10-year-old kid and you're like, oh, here's my dad talking to people again. Like, did that ever happen with you where your dad would talk so much that it would impact like your schedule and you'd have to be like, Dad,
by the
we
way,
gotta,
yeah.
You can't say hello to everybody in the room.
It undoubtedly would affect my schedule, but I would say this, is that I know my brother felt the exact same way. Like, I love being with my dad, like no matter what, just to be with him. Like, I mean, and we took advantage of it. Like we would go everywhere with him, but it was always an adventure. Like that thing, like of not feeling if my dad was dragging us along and had us go sit in the corner, but when he's doing that, like I'm standing right there, like he'd have me go, Hunters do that, like he would have us, me and Bo, like we're his like his teammates in everything. So we were always like he had us, like I'm not unique in this. People have had relationships. I just know this is like, Jesus, he's a good dad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's something like looking back on, it was a really cool thing to see how my father would do that and like taught me, here's how you communicate with people. Always be interested, always be inquisitive. Don't ever be afraid to go up to somebody, start a conversation with them because they want to talk to other people just as much as you want to talk to them.
Yeah. And
it's kind of like it's a cool thing that you learn from your father growing up.
I talked to your brother about, your dad and how, I read the piece of deed anyway. And how cool is it? How lucky, and I feel really lucky.
Yeah.
To have, if I could be half the dad to my children that my dad's been to me, I will be an incredible success.
Yep. I feel the same way. All right. Anybody have any other questions? Anything maybe end us on something more lighthearted?
Yeah, I do.
We can make it quick because I'm two
right.
2 cups of coffee in.
You're right.
So if we could take a break and I'll come right back.
Yeah. We'll get back to macrodosing in a second. It's brought to you by Reese's. Reese's is the best candy in the entire world. Chocolate, peanut butter, iconic Reese's peanut butter cups. Nothing better. The Reese's Pieces, delicious. All the Reese's products are incredible. The Reese's Animal Crackers, have you had those? Those are outstanding.
Where are those? Do we have those
we
here?
have those upstairs. They're incredible.
I need to find that.
You should try them.
I'm going to go get that right now.
Everything they do, it's delicious because it's that delicious, tasty, scrumptious Reese's peanut butter. You got chocolate thrown in the mix. It is the perfect candy that there's no improving on. It is the best thing that's ever been, maybe the number one invention in the history of America is the Reese's peanut butter cup. You guys love it. We love it. We're thankful to have Reese's on board. I would say that Reese's Pieces might be my number one candy to put into ice cream or to put into a frozen yogurt. If you're making a sundae and you need some candy, go to the Reese's Pieces on that. Reese's, the official candy partner of Barstool Sports. Go get Reese's wherever you shop.
I had the perfect segue when you guys were discussing social media and the technocrats and
this is a perfect segue.
Algorithms and all that. Some would say, not myself, but some critics would say that firing off 23 tweets in one day would be a sign of addiction.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing: is that it's literally just me. And
I'm just busting your balls, by the way.
No, by the way, yeah, no, but by the way, the word like a lot of people, like at the outset when I went in, is that I didn't know what I was doing. Is that I thought though that like, maybe I'd get like 10, 20,000 people like to follow, and it went from like 0 to 1 million in like that, and I like thought, well, wait, do you like those tweets were me? I put out one tweet, and then it would be like crackhead, pedophile, you know what I mean? Like everybody, so many people want to call me a meth head. I'm like, the one thing I wasn't a fucking meth head. I was a crackhead. You know what I mean? Like, so those were my tweets. You know what I mean? It's like like kind of, and I didn't even realize in the instances like how rare it was for somebody, because I was being completely genuine. I'm like, I'm kind of fucking offended because, as you know, like there's a kind of like a rivalry between meth heads and crackheads.
There is.
You know what I mean? And I will tell you, meth heads are far worse.
we look down on those guys.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
like the Jets and the Sharks.
Yeah, like we got to stick together. You know what I mean, on the crack side.
Say, whoa, calm down. I am a crackhead, sir.
I'm telling you.
Like, what are the stereotypes that you would have of a meth head, and then what would the meth head say about you?
Ooh.
Those tweakers, a bunch of tweakers, man.
They tweak, man. They're just like
Up all night taking apart stereos and shit.
worse than that.
I think the meth was like the teeth. That's the big thing I remember about meth.
To what?
I've never done either, but like,
Yeah.
I hear
And
about
everybody.
meth.
Oh, that's the other thing. Like
the highs are
have you ever
crazy
seen that
different,
picture of
too.
me without any teeth? I'm sure you have. Like, there's this
Yeah,
picture. Like, I got caps on my teeth. That didn't have anything to do with anything. Literally, it was when they put veneers on your teeth, they like shaved
Shave it down,
the
yeah.
tooth. So everybody's like, meth. I think that may be where they get the meth head.
Have
you been surprised? I mean, for lack of a better term, like the lore around your family and around like the Democrat establishment. Or Democratic establishment overall, like the Clinton crime family, the Biden crime family. Now that you've been online interacting with people, and you are responding to people that like sometimes accuse you of some of the worst possible shit, I think they're a lot of times surprised that you're willing to engage on it, and then they'll back down pretty quickly. But have you been surprised at the lore that's been built up? Because there is a lot of like there's a fantasy world of what your family represents.
Yeah.
Has that shocked you at all to read any of that?
I think part of it I understand, because there is so much corruption. There is so much of that revolving door, soft corruption. I even think of it to the degree is that, look, I work my ass off. But the one thing I know is that I say this, is there are a lot of things that you can criticize me for. And one of them is that even look, I got out of college. I went to the Jesuit Volunteer Corps, which is like the domestic Peace Corps, and I wanted my trajectory to be one of public service, and then I had a baby, and when I was still, I hadn't even my first semester of law school, and I was married. And I made a lot of decisions out of fear of like needing to make money and do things like, and now none of it had anything to do with like, I get this job, like I could have had any job I wanted out of Yale Law School, but I worked my ass off to get into Yale Law School. I don't care who you are, but then I made easy choices, I didn't make the harder choices like that my brother made. My brother, stuck to like the public service thing. He was at the U.S. Attorney's Office in Philadelphia, and then he went and he ran on his own. He had the name, but Delaware, the first time, you had to stand up and go and be able to debate and put yourself out there for elected office for people to, in a state like Delaware, to became Attorney General. And anyway, I guess my point is that there is an enormous amount of a revolving door in soft corruption in Washington, D.C. And there is an enormous advantage to having, a last name when your dad is as a United States senator or vice president or, not so much as president for me, but you know what I mean? Like, and the thing that I guess I'm surprised about is that, like, I was so fastidious about, like, never asking my dad or anybody that worked for him for a favor on behalf of me for something that I was getting paid to do. Like, I was super fastidious about it. But that doesn't mean that, like, people didn't find me by virtue of my last name. You know what I mean? It's not like, that would be such bullshit for me to sit here and say that I didn't get. I mean, like, was I privileged? My dad was a United States senator since I was 2 years old. Yeah, I was fucking privileged. But here's the thing. Go look at my dad's career. My dad literally was almost always, in the 40 years that he was in the United States Senate, ranked as the poorest man, meaning poorest, quote unquote, with the fewest assets of anybody, not just in the Senate, but in the entire Congress of 435 members of Congress and 100 senators. He was consistently ranked in, if it not last, like the bottom 20 of having assets. Because in 1972, he made a commitment never to buy a stock or a bond. Because he was coming off of the Spiro Agnew and right before Nixon, but Spiro Agnew was just kicked out because of the whole scandal in which he was getting paid money. And he made that commitment. Did my dad do well? He made $160,000 when he, I think, it was kind of average between the time that he first senator and he left as a senator, like middle class, you know what I mean? Like in any world. And that's still him. I just say to anybody who says the Biden crime family, look at my dad now. He could have taken a seat on, any major hedge fund or private equity fund, or gone, made speeches in the Middle East, or, like, by the way, a lot of other presidents have done. He could have started a foundation and asked every sovereign wealth fund to put money into it. Look at what my dad's doing. Look at what he did when he left the vice presidency. He wrote a book. Did he make money from writing the book? Yeah. He's going to make a few $1 million from it. But my dad could go and he could be raking in millions and millions of dollars just by attaching himself to some, corporate brand. Which, Dad, if you're listening, this is not a very bad idea. But he's not.
Right.
But he's not. But meanwhile, what surprised me is being able to do what they did. Is label us the Biden crime family, and to be able to draw and say, go look at the House Oversight Committee, go look at the thing. Is it like, it's all bullshit? I mean, really, truly, truly all bullshit. What's not bullshit is, I worked for a natural gas company and as a board member of corporate governance. So did Covert Black, who was head of, so did, a number of other people that are Americans. I didn't speak Ukrainian, but you know what I did know about? I did know about corporate governance on a board. I had been on dozens of other boards before, but did they ask me because of that? No. I mean, they found me because of who my dad was, but they also found me because of who I was, because I was, of counsel to one of the largest law firms in the country, because of my pedigree, because I taught at Georgetown, because I was on other boards, I've always said to people is that, yeah, you get a lot of advantage of being a Hunter Biden, but you know what? You also get a lot of scrutiny. And I proved that point too. And if you don't live up to it, which in times I didn't, then you pay the price significantly.
Yeah. I have a question for you about your time at Georgetown. And I'm not asking this to glamorize addiction or drug use.
Yeah.
But I'm asking because I'm from DC and it's an interesting story.
Yeah. That
I read that at one point you smoked crack with Mayor Marion Barry.
No. I smoked crack in the same, at one point I was at, what was the name of the bar?
Was it Guards?
Yeah.
At Georgetown?
Guards. Exactly right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting place.
Yeah.
So it was at the same place that he would frequent. So, it was not with him.
Yeah. And when I was in, I had only smoked crack once before I became addicted to it, 25 years before that, when I was in college. And but when I was in the depths of my addiction, there was a famous. Remember where Marion Barry got the tape.
Yeah.
What can I say? Obviously, I
Say
can't.
whatever, yeah.
The bitch set me up.
Yeah,
Remember that
yeah,
tape?
that was his. That was his. So he got arrested because he was on tape with a prostitute and smoked crack in the hotel room.
Yeah.
And they asked him a comment. He goes, "Bitch set me up." That was his like official statement on it. So he goes to prison. He gets out of prison. He gets reelected mayor afterwards. Like the city still loved the guy after he.
You
got
know
out of
why?
prison.
Is because Marion Barry was also an incredibly amazing human being as it relates to what he did in the civil rights movement.
Yep.
He was very close with Dr. King, and he was incredibly brave in what he did in the late 60s and 70s, and he then became an addict, and he got over it. He came back. He ran. He ended up winning. He was in recovery. And went on to live the rest of his life, but obviously a very imperfect person. And but I used to smoke. I spent a lot of time in that hotel, which was still like the place to go.
A question I had that I haven't. You're part of me. I don't watch a lot of your interviews.
Thank God.
Yeah, I mean, I was really uninterested in the whole Hunter Biden story when it was in the news.
Yeah.
I just didn't care about the shit.
Yeah.
But a question I guess that is kind of interesting is like the pardon that your dad gave you. Was that discussed between y'all previously, or is it something he just laid on you, or was
no?
How did that come about?
So, for every reason that you can imagine, is that every discussion that you have with the president of the United States is that you better be, you 100% better be willing for that to become public, because one day it will become public, because you will be subpoenaed, you will be asked. And so, we were both, all of us, incredibly cognizant of that. So when I say that I never had a discussion with my dad directly about it, that's 100% the truth, because I knew is that if I was put under oath one day and had to answer that question, I'd have to be able to answer it that way. The election happens, Trump wins. I am 100% positive that my dad would not have pardoned me if he had won the election, because I know my dad, and he had made that commitment, and he would have made the commitment, and I would have been okay with that. And I truly would have been okay with that because of this. Is I was a first-time offender. It was a victimless crime in terms of the gun. Just from everybody, they've already, and I was firmly believed that it would be the conviction for the having bought the gun while an addict would be overturned. It would become unconstitutional, which it has become. 922G3 was just ruled unconstitutional, at least as it relates to the use of marijuana, by the Supreme Court about a month ago. They hadn't gotten to the discussion of any other drugs yet, but they will, and it's unconstitutional. I 100% believe that, and I was proven right just a couple months ago. And as it related to the tax charge, just remember, is what they charged me with on the tax, the core of the charge of the tax, is that I, in 2016, 15 and 16 and 17, 16 and 17, 17 and 18, I forget, 2 years, in the middle of my addiction, in like the worst of my addiction, I got my taxes prepared, I signed them, put them in the trunk of a car, and when I left my office, and I never had filed my taxes. And I thought, because previously in my life, I had all office and I did it and they filed the taxes and I, wrote the check. So when I got clean and sober in 2019, I went to go file my taxes in that year. I went to find, my accountant had died, but I went to go find in LA an accountant that could do my taxes. And they said, we can't find the transcripts for the previous 2 years. And they finally get a communication from the IRS that those taxes had not been filed. So I immediately filed them. And then within a year, in discussions with the IRS, they're not responding to me. I pay all that I owe with all the penalties and interest for those 2 years that I failed to file. So I paid all my. 4 years later, they charged me for not having filed my taxes on time, even though I'd pay all penalties and interest. Any other situation, I can't find any single other person in all the case law in which that number one is I didn't owe them. I didn't owe them a dime. I paid literally all penalties and interest, and they still charged me with it because I had gotten a plea. So the point is, as it relates to the pardon, Thanksgiving comes up, and we're all together. And right before that, I think is that Donald Trump appoints Matt Gaetz to become the Attorney General. And I know that was the thing with my dad. He said he clearly doesn't have any intention of making the Department of Justice or any of its ancillary institutions something that is that's going to be fair, unbiased. And those institutions would be the Department of Corrections and the Department of Probation. And, you know, what people don't fully understand, if you haven't been indicted or under the Department of Probation on a federal level in particular, you have no Fourth Amendment rights whatsoever. The 3 years previous to that, me getting the pardon, I had a probation officer that would come in without knocking at any hour of the day into my house. I mean, at one point, into my bedroom. And drug test me. You don't have any. You have zero rights. And I think that he was certain that whether the president himself or the people that are that have been tasked to take kind of revenge, that they wouldn't use me as pawn against the entirety of the family. And so he pardoned me. Yeah, I'm incredibly grateful for it.
Yeah, no, I mean, if I was in his shoes, I'd probably do the same thing.
Did you get a letter? Was there anything like official when you get pardoned? You get any regalia, like a sash that you can
You wear a big sash.
Do you have a card?
But only on Sundays, on the day that you were pardoned. No.
The get out of jail free card. Does that actually exist?
I went to Thanksgiving. All I got was a pardon T-shirt or something like that.
It'd be nice to have a little bit of merch.
No, they don't give you a T-shirt or anything like that.
A real quick,
but I do have a piece of paper that is the pardon.
Nice.
With
that's
the seal.
lit.
Yeah.
A real quick follow up, just kind of to play devil's advocate, is like I guess the critique behind the pardon isn't necessarily the pardon. I mean, it kind of is, but it's more so like the dates surrounding it. So like the gun and tax charges was, and that's why I'm just hearing it from the horse's mouth.
Yeah.
All I could do is read articles and stuff. But like, so the gun and tax stuff was like around 2016 or something like that. Right?
2000. So they went all the way back to 2015, and that's why it was 10 years.
Okay, so the critique of it is like that it stretched right.
Why did it go so far
Reese,
back and include a 10-year period of time? Is because the investigation. They, in their investigation and indictment of me, cite all the way back to 2014, in which I was levied for a failure. I didn't get charged with it, but their investigation went back to 2014.
Gotcha.
And so it had to cover all the way the entirety of the DOJ investigation into me, and that's how far they went back.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So that's why 10 years.
I appreciate you taking the time today, Hunter.
Sure.
This is a good conversation. I enjoyed speaking with you. I think hopefully people enjoy listening to it.
Did I make the team? Do the next time? Do I get to sit over there?
I have one more.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just going to say that when we did
Yeah.
the tour and I walked him through the office, I showed him all the highlights, the giant Indianapolis Colts 2014 AFC finalist banner, the Florida State Seminoles season canceled due to COVID in 2020, ranked number 4 banner. I think that a Hunter Biden original piece of artwork would look pretty good hanging up somewhere. Have you sold anything recently?
Yeah. Go online, Hunter. Okay, look, two, 3 things. Is this number one? Is these are my jobs, my day jobs. I work with a Peak Path Health, which is a incredible rehab facility in LA, incredible, and I'm helping them set up a foundation for aftercare. The other thing is I work with an organization called Barstool Universal. Barstool Universal is the biggest homeless prevention and tenants' rights organization. And what they do is keep families in their houses so they don't get evicted by like predatory landlords and stuff like that. That's the 2 like day job things. And then hunterbiden.com, which has all my art. And you can go check it out. And through that, what I'm done is if you go to Hunter Biden /recovery, a place where literally this is all I'm asking people to do in recovery, share your story. You just sign up and anonymously and you share your story, because the thing that saved me, and for no other reason than just a place for people to be able to go and read these stories, because that's the thing that saved me, is realizing I wasn't alone. And so you go to that and I'm doing my Substack, go to my Substack and
Hey, yo,
read
I-
that,
yo,
stuff like
hey,
Look at some of the art.
I'm saying I didn't bother to look at your paintings, or no disrespect.
Yeah.
These are fire, dog. I
yeah,
can't
you got to
even-
pick one.
These are
Yeah.
what's one that means, because I think all the bad shit about drugs, I feel like drugs help open up a part of the brain that is I don't know how else to explain it, but like when I was younger, I tried drugs. I was like 13 when I tried mushrooms.
Yeah.
And I kind of liken that to like me seeing the world from a different point of view that was outside of my own.
Yeah.
And I think drugs have the ability to do that. I'm not saying that this is your experience, but I'm saying like, what is there a painting that you have that means the most to you, or that has the most depth or substance to it, that's like, yo, this one, like it gives me the feelings when I look back at it.
Yeah. I think that there's one in there that is that's of Melissa. That's really cool. She's got 2 lines sitting in front of her. You see that one?
You know what it's called?
I think it's called Melissa. But
Yes.
they're
Gotcha.
yeah. And but there's
This
a
is fire,
painting
dog.
that I did that's huge. And it's kind of abstract. I forget the title of it. But anyway, is it Annunciation? Anyway, I'm horrible with the titles because there's so many in there.
I'm looking at one called The Incident right now.
Oh, The
And
Incident,
Somebody
yeah.
looking at an owl that
Yeah.
might be absconding. Was
Kendrick
there
fan.
was there an incident?
Kendrick fan.
Yeah, and so
The Incident?
yeah, and so that one is so I write about it in my first book, in Beautiful Things, is the craziest story. Oh, by the way, on psilocybin and psychedelics and things like that, 100%. I think that there's enormous good that can be done, and I've done this, like ibogaine, ayahuasca, psilocybin, 5-MeO, all of those things. I'm a real believer in constructive ways in which they are, particularly people with PTSD and trauma. I haven't done it since I've been sober because I haven't felt the need, but absolutely in terms of the creativity, which is the exact opposite of what crack or alcohol does to you, in my estimation. What was I just? Oh, The Incident.
Yeah.
So in my book, I'm driving to a rehab in Prescott, Arizona, outside of Scottsdale. Okay, and
It's up north, right? It's all the way up
leaving
north.
from LA, and I rent a car, and I keep telling these people that I'm supposed to meet me that are waiting for me at this facility, are going to meet me in Prescott and then drive me to the facility, is that I'll be there like the next day, and it kept going on and on. And so I rent a car, and I haven't slept in 10 days, and I'm on, what is it, the 10? Is the
Yeah, they're
5?
10, yeah.
Or 5 or 10 goes to between anyway, and it has that giant gully in the middle of the road, in the highway, 4 lanes on either side, and I fell asleep, and I hit, and I went down, and then and I wake up. I was going like 80 miles an hour, and I'm in the middle of that gully, and it has that police berm, and I hit the other side. I hit it. I literally landed on the other side of the road, facing in the right direction of the traffic, in this break, and with 4 flat tires. And they gave me another rental car. And I'm going through those mountains in Prescott. And these are the things where I gulped, and it's not even a funny story because of the number of people that could have gotten hurt. And I'm driving, and a barn owl flies in the middle of the night, flies in front of my car, and down the windshield like this, in front of my lights, and is guiding me through these turns. Now, I'm pretty sure that it was a hallucination, but there's this thing with the owl. in which whatever it was, whether it was a hallucination or not, saved my life.
Yeah, Kendrick. Yeah, good call. All right, Dante, you wanted the last question.
I feel like this has been a great talk. First off, thank you so much for doing this.
No, thank you, man. Thank you guys for having me. I really, really
This has
mean it.
brought us all very close together. I feel like we're in a circle of trust now.
Uh-oh. I know what's coming. Yeah.
That said,
But-
being in the circle of trust,
Yeah.
gotta know.
Yeah.
Whose bag of Coke was that in the White House?
Yeah. Okay. Again, like, what the fuck, guys, is this? All right. Number one.
I ain't
All
asking,
right.
dog.
Okay. Everybody has to understand is where this, and I can believe that people were asking me this question because I was like, what? And like, number one, I wasn't there. Okay. Number two, you in the entrance to the Situation Room is down a hallway underneath the Oval Office that comes through the basically staff entrance, what is called West Exec Avenue. Okay. And in order to get to the Situation Room, you pass the desk of a Secret Service agent. You go down a dark, like literally, it's like a dark hallway. And on one door, there's like a little cafeteria, and there's cubbies in front of you. And the cubbies are there, you know, like in school, like little cubbies, like when you would go to the principal's office, you know, where people would pick up their mail and stuff like that. There's cubbies. Is that if you have top secret clearance, classified clearance, you put your electronic devices into the cubby in order to be able to go into the Situation Room. Now, in order for anyone to believe that was mine, they would have to know that I would have had to, not on a day I was there, at some other date, walk from the residence down the colonnade, past the Oval Office, by the way, with my Secret Service agents that follow me everywhere, downstairs, out to the West Exec. Instead of going out to the West Exec, go down to the Situation Room, of which I've obviously never been in the Situation Room because I don't have security clearance to go into it, taken a bag of Coke out, put it into a cubby, and walked out.
I like that
Oh,
you
I'm
checked
not
it.
saying it's yours. I'm saying
Yeah.
I think you got to have a suspicion.
Like
You
who
want to.
parties?
You want to.
Who in the administration parties?
By the way, I
who
have
could it be?
no idea because
Doug?
that's by the way the other thing I was so shocked at is like because I thought everybody knew. There's like, but now I get it. Is the conflation of my drug use, which ended a year before my dad ever took office, and while he was in office, and it's not hard to figure out, is that for like 4 years straight, the New York Post had a picture of me smoking,
Right.
You're the fall
smoking
guy.
a crack pipe.
You're the fall guy.
You've got
on the
goldfish
front
brain,
page,
So if
yeah.
you see that picture, we're like,
So,
oh,
yeah.
that must be happening right now.
Yeah.
You're the perfect fall guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I've
anyway.
got one more.
Oh,
okay.
I may have
shit.
one more after this. But
I thought I made
All
it.
right.
Right. Yeah.
We
yeah.
may have a couple more.
Okay.
You can't necessarily verify the authenticity because you weren't around yet. However,
Mhm.
had you ever heard about corn pop prior to
Yeah, a million times.
so you'd heard about corn pop?
I met Corn Pop.
Tell me more.
Yeah.
Because
I met all those guys.
I never
Mouse,
once
Corn
doubted-
Pop,
You
all
met
those
Corn
guys.
Pop?
Yeah, 100%. Is that when I was a kid growing up, those guys those are the people that made my dad not only the stories of his life. Not like, look, everybody can make fun of that. Is that like my dad in that generation to be the only white guy working in an all black pool in inner city in city of Wilmington, which to this day is a majority African American city, and is like that was literally the formative thing of his involvement in what he would call his desire to be a part of the change that was coming in the 60s. That was him. So Corn Pop to him may be funny to you, but to me as a kid, it was like a guy that showed up at my trial, Mouse. Mouse ended up becoming the head of the Longshoremen Union. But Mouse was a 3-time a convict my dad knew but he represented him, and as a public defender. Mouse was like an uncle to me. Like those are the people that I grew up with. That was the community. So as much as everybody think Corn Pop is a funny, like goofy story, like to me, those are the people that adopted me and my brother when my mom and my sister died. Like literally, like those were my aunts and uncles, and to this day are. Like anyway. in Wilmington. So
Is
there's-
Corn Pop still with us?
No. I think Corn Pop. I can't remember right now what Corn Pop's legal name was, but no, I don't think he's still with us to this day.
So
Mouse just died about a year ago.
So, like, to you, Corn Pop, nice guy, nurturing, but also a bad dude. Like, to the outside.
Like me.
Yeah, I think
Like
the
you.
story was like he was a bad dude, right?
Well, yeah, the story of Corn, they chased him with razors, right?
With the chains, yeah. But no, but what Corn Pop did is that anyway, yeah. Anyway, all of those. I guess that's why I believe in this. Is like some of the greatest people I ever met, the most courageous people I ever met, the smartest people, the most resilient and resourceful people I ever met were in my addiction. A woman I lived with that I invited into my apartment in DC. Everybody calls her Bicycles. I have my own Corn Pop story, Bicycles. Bicycle's been living on the street from the time she was 16 years old. She's, when I met her, in her early 60s. And everybody called her Bicycles because she's always on a bike. I've known her for 20 years because I handed her $5 when I'd see her. She'd ask for money, but she was, a known crack addict. The life she has led, the resilience, her ability, the resourcefulness to make it through. I mean, and in all of that trauma, and the number of times she's been like assaulted and beaten up and abused by the system and abused by the cops and like no one to trust. You know how many times she saved my life? When all she needed to do was just rob me blind. You know how many times she kept me out from fucking getting shot? One regret that I have is that I have not been able to go back and find Bicycle and save her from it. And there was a time when I was in Las Vegas, a heroin addict, prostitute. They literally was in the penthouse at the Palms, and people had been living off me for a week there, and I was out of my mind. And somebody gave me a bottle of water, and it was clearly like GHB, and I didn't know at the time, and I downed like half the bottle, and I woke up face down in the Palms at the 80th floor, whatever it is. Like they have those hot tubs that like
We
shut
stayed
out
there.
over the side. Yeah. Okay. They found me face down there, and they didn't know how long. And there had been like 20 people in and out of this like penthouse. They stole everything, and they all ran because they thought it was dead. But this one woman that had everything to lose, held me in her arms for like 8 hours until I woke up. She knew who I was. She'd been found with me dead, drugs, her own heroin. She knew though, if she left me, that I would more likely die. Like the kindness of strangers, of people lost in their own addiction. People do not lose their humanity. I mean, that was a very unfair way to answer your funny question about Corn Pop.
No,
Yeah.
I didn't know that he remained a part of y'all's life.
Yeah.
All right, Aaron.
Lastly, man, a little light, but did Pops ever like pillow talk? I know you lived a hell of a life. So did he ever pillow talk about any kind of government, like aliens, or what do we know, what do we don't know?
We'll talk later.
A little bit. All right.
Take it offline.
I like that. Take it off the line. I like it. I like it. All right. All right.
All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us, man. It was a good conversation.
I
Hope
really
everybody
appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Enjoyed it.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's
Thanks.
good to see you and Liberty or Jerry reconnect here.
Yeah, man.
Congrats.
Yeah.
He's got a big year. He's got a lot in store for us this year in terms of liberalism. So we can't
Thanks,
wait to see
guys.
what you got.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, man.
Thanks,
Okay.
sir.
Thank you.